Hello, everyone. Welcome back to End Times Ambience. If you want to skip this brief introduction, check the timestamp in the first comment below. So, I'm doing these brief introductions just to show the human element behind these videos. YouTube recently demonetized the channel, but then we got monetization back, and I believe it was because I started recording this video, so it's going to be something I keep doing. So today's video is one of the backlog videos that's actually been out on Patreon for several months now, and it's a video based on Resident Evil Code Veronica. The Resident Evil Raccoon City broadcast I did earlier this year was very successful, and I thought I'd keep that theme going and start working my way through the Resident Evil games and doing broadcasts on them. So this is the second one. Now, because Code Veronica is a little different than Raccoon City, I had to take some liberties on what exactly the news would and wouldn't know during the event. So hopefully it's still enjoyable and hopefully you still like it. With all that being said, End Times Ambience presents the Ashford Collapse, the Code Veronica broadcast. Enjoy the show.
Good evening. Before we begin, a small matter of housekeeping. The voices you're about to hear were generated by artificial intelligence. The story itself, however, was directed by a human soul, a comforting distinction, I suppose. I'm also obligated to inform you that any resemblance to persons living or dead is entirely coincidental. Though given this evening's entertainment, I suspect the dead would prefer not to be associated. Now then, I trust you've been keeping well since that unfortunate business with Raccoon City. A dreadful affair, truly, though I confess I found the resolution rather predictable. A city infected, a city destroyed. One does grow weary of the conventional approach. Tonight I have something far more interesting for you. A tale of aristocrats, of twins with a peculiar devotion to one another, of an island prison where the unwanted are sent to disappear. And beneath the ice at the bottom of the world, something very old is sleeping. She has been sleeping for 15 years, and I'm afraid her rest is nearly at an end. You'll hear the broadcast, the field reports, the frantic transmissions from men who can't quite believe what they're seeing. And when it's finished, well, I suspect the Ashford family name will mean nothing at all. Which is rather the point, isn't it? Enjoy the show.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. We begin tonight with the latest developments from the ongoing Raccoon City investigation. Federal agencies continue their assessment of the disaster zone, though access remains restricted to military and authorized personnel only. The official death toll stands at approximately 100,000, though as we've reported, that figure remains difficult to verify. On the financial front, Umbrella Pharmaceuticals continued its downward slide on Wall Street today. Shares have now lost roughly 70% of their value since October, making it the sharpest collapse in pharmaceutical history. The company faces over 40 pending lawsuits and at least 3 congressional inquiries. Analysts predict the firm may be forced into bankruptcy by spring. Overseas, European regulators have approved new oversight measures for pharmaceutical research facilities, a direct response to revelations about Umbrella's operations. Several industry insiders tell us this could reshape how biotech companies conduct classified research for years to come. In other news, the European Union has approved preliminary funding for an ambitious solar energy project in the Mediterranean. The proposed development, tentatively called Terra-Gia, would be a fully self-sustaining offshore city powered entirely by advanced solar technology. Developers say construction could begin as early as 2004, though critics have raised concerns about the project's estimated $12 billion price tag. We'll continue to follow that story as it develops. Finally, the reconstruction efforts continue. Congress is expected to vote next week on a relief package for displaced Raccoon City residents, many of whom are still living in temporary housing across 3 states. Officials say the sterilization zone may remain inaccessible for a decade or more, but they're hopeful the worst is behind us. That's the news for this December evening. I'm Bill Carter. Good night.
This is Vance. December 16th, 1998. I'm recording this from a hotel in Paris. If anyone finds this tape and I'm not around to explain it, well, you'll know why soon enough. I've spent the last 4 months tracking Umbrella's supply chain. After Raccoon, everyone assumed the company was finished. But they're not finished. They're relocating. Moving classified assets to black sites that don't exist on any corporate filings. I've traced freighter manifests, cross-referenced port records in 3 countries. And I found something. There's a facility here in Paris, one of their logistics hubs. Tomorrow morning, I'm walking through the front door, press credentials in hand. I know they'll stonewall me. I know they'll have security escort me out before I get past the lobby. But I want to see their faces when I start asking about Rockfort Island, about the supply shipments heading south. Sometimes you learn more from what people refuse to say than what they admit. My editor knows my coordinates. I've left instructions. If I don't check in within 72 hours, he runs what I've already sent him. It won't be the full story, but it'll be enough to make people ask questions. The supply routes all lead south, deep south, the Southern Ocean. Whatever Umbrella is hiding, they're moving it as far from civilization as geography allows. I'm going to find out what it is. This might be the story that brings them down, or it might be the story that gets me killed. Either way, I've made my choice. Vance out.
Hey kids, stop by Happy Burger this weekend and try the new Happy Meal. It comes with a juicy burger, salty fries, and a mystery toy you'll never forget. Mom and Dad, grab a coffee while the kids play in our brand new indoor playground. This month only, kids eat free on Sundays with any adult purchase. Happy Burger. Taste the happiness before it rots. 9 locations across Silent Hill, including our new store on Bachman Road. Open 24 hours. We're always smiling.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. We're interrupting our regular broadcast with breaking international news. French security services have confirmed that an Umbrella Pharmaceuticals facility in Paris was breached last night by a single intruder. The individual evaded multiple layers of what has been described as military-grade security, gained access to restricted areas of the compound, and escaped before authorities could apprehend them. The intruder's identity remains officially unknown, though French police say they believe it was a woman in her late teens or early 20s. Surveillance footage shows her moving through the facility with what investigators are calling unexpected tactical competence. Several Umbrella security personnel were incapacitated during the breach, but no fatalities have been reported. To help us understand just how significant this breach might be, we're joined now by Marcus Thorne, a former Pentagon defense consultant and tactical security analyst. Marcus, what does it tell you that a civilian was able to penetrate an Umbrella facility like this?
It tells me that either Umbrella's security has degraded significantly since Raccoon City, or this wasn't an ordinary civilian. The Paris facility isn't publicly acknowledged, but we've known for years that Umbrella operates logistics hubs throughout Western Europe. These sites aren't laboratories. They're transfer points, heavily fortified transfer points.
When you say heavily fortified, what kind of measures are we talking about?
Biometric access controls on every door, armed response teams with 3-minute deployment windows, compartmentalized zones where even employees can't access areas outside their clearance. I've reviewed security audits from similar pharmaceutical sites, and I can tell you, a lone civilian walking out alive is not how these scenarios are supposed to end.
Marcus, there's been speculation that the intruder may have been searching for something specific. What would be valuable enough to justify that kind of risk?
Logistics manifests, personnel records, shipping routes to undisclosed locations. Since the Raccoon incident, Umbrella's been quietly moving assets off the books. If someone wanted to know where those assets were going, a transfer hub is exactly where you'd look. The real question is who has the motivation and the skill set to attempt something like this.
We're now going to bring in a voice that many of you will recognize. Investigative reporter Vance has been tracking Umbrella's operations since before the Raccoon City disaster. He's joining us via satellite phone from an undisclosed location. Vance, can you hear us?
Bill, I can hear you. The connection isn't great, but I'll do my best. I'm currently on board an Umbrella supply freighter heading south through the Atlantic. I've been embedded in their logistics network for almost 48 hours now.
Vance, when you say embedded, how did you manage to get on board?
I can't get into specifics. Not while I'm still out here. What I can tell you is this. Everything Marcus just said about them relocating assets is accurate. The cargo holds on this ship are sealed, but the manifest I've seen references biological samples, laboratory equipment, and personnel transfers to a destination listed only as a staging coordinate, somewhere in the Southern Ocean.
The Southern Ocean. That's about as remote as anywhere on Earth.
That's the point, Bill. Whatever Umbrella is protecting, they've decided it needs to be as far from civilization as possible. I've seen shipping containers with hazardous material markings and security seals I don't recognize. This isn't pharmaceutical equipment. This is something else entirely.
Vance, we're hearing reports that the Paris intruder may have been connected to the Arklay Mountain survivors, the Star's whistleblowers who first exposed Umbrella. Have you heard anything about that?
I've heard the same thing. If it's true, that means Umbrella has more enemies than just journalists and federal investigators now. They have people who've seen what their research actually produces. People who have nothing left to lose.
Vance, please stay safe out there. We'll expect your next transmission when you're able.
I'll do my best. Vance out.
That was investigative reporter Vance, speaking to us from somewhere in the Atlantic. Marcus, final thought. What happens if Vance is right and Umbrella is moving their most sensitive research to the Southern Ocean?
Then we have a situation where the company responsible for the worst outbreak in modern history is operating outside the reach of any national jurisdiction. No oversight, no inspection, just Umbrella, their research, and whatever resources they've stockpiled. Frankly, Bill, that should concern everyone watching tonight.
Marcus Thorne, thank you for joining us. We'll have more on this story as it develops. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us.
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington. It belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican. It belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow. It belongs to everyone. At Ryan Industries, we reject this premise. We believe in the great chain of industry, unfettered by government parasites and moralizing censors. Invest in Ryan Industries today. We aren't just building products. We're building a rapture of the free market. For investment opportunities, call 800-555-RYAN. Ryan Industries. No gods or kings, only man.
We're going to shift now to live coverage from federal court. The preliminary discovery hearings for what the press is calling the Raccoon Trials began this morning. Umbrella Pharmaceuticals has assembled an elite defense team. Their strategy so far appears to be scorched earth. We're taking you live to the courtroom. The federal prosecutor is examining investigative journalist Alyssa Ashcroft.
Miss Ashcroft, can you please state your profession for the record?
I'm an investigative journalist. I've been covering Umbrella Corporation's activities for 6 years.
And during that time, what kind of information did you uncover about Umbrella's operations?
I uncovered evidence of illegal human experimentation at multiple facilities. Medical records showing subjects exposed to biological agents without consent. Some of those people were infected deliberately. The experiments started as early as 1993.
I'm directing your attention to Prosecution Exhibit 12. Can you identify this document?
These are hospital records from the Arklay Mountains facility. Patient admissions, treatment logs, autopsy reports. I obtained them through a source who worked at the facility before it was destroyed.
What do these records indicate about the nature of the experiments conducted there?
They show systematic exposure to viral agents. Patients admitted with minor injuries and then deliberately infected. Researchers tracking infection rates, mutation timelines, fatality statistics. This wasn't accidental contamination. It was planned research using human subjects.
Who was in charge of the Arklay Mountains facility?
Albert Wesker. He held the title of Chief Researcher and Regional Director. He reported directly to Umbrella's executive board. He had unlimited funding and authority over the facility's operations.
Did Mr. Wesker act alone?
No. He had a staff of researchers, security personnel, and administrative support. The facility employed over 40 people. They all reported to him, but they were all paid by Umbrella. The quarterly budget reports for that facility ran into the tens of millions of dollars.
Thank you. No further questions at this time.
Miss Ashcroft, you just testified that Albert Wesker ran the Arclay facility. Did you also know that Mr. Wesker held another position?
He was a captain in the Raccoon City Police Department, Special Tactics and Rescue Service.
So Mr. Wesker was a police captain, a law enforcement officer with access to criminal investigation reports, evidence logs, and the ability to redirect inquiries. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
And when local authorities attempted to investigate unusual activity near the Arclay Mountains, who handled those inquiries?
Wesker's unit. STARS.
So Captain Wesker used his position as a police officer to suppress oversight of his own criminal activities. He created false incident reports. He manipulated corporate reporting structures. He falsified safety compliance documents. Is that fair to say?
He was able to do that because Umbrella gave him the resources and authority.
Miss Ashcroft, please answer the question. Did Captain Wesker use his law enforcement position to obstruct investigations into the Arclay facility?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that STARS investigated the facility. What happened when they did?
Wesker attempted to murder them. He unleashed biological weapons on his own team. They reported encountering a creature called a tyrant, a humanoid weapon created for Umbrella's bioweapons division.
The STARS survivors also reported seeing walking corpses and flesh-eating dogs. Correct?
That's what they reported. Yes.
Walking corpses. And you expect this court to believe such testimony?
I believe the STARS officers who gave that testimony. They're trained law enforcement personnel. 5 of them survived the incident, and all 5 gave consistent reports.
5 traumatized individuals who barely escaped a burning building. Where is the physical evidence to support their claims?
The facility was destroyed. It burned down on July 24th.
So the physical evidence was destroyed in the same fire that killed Captain Wesker. How convenient. Miss Ashcroft, let's move to Raccoon City. You've interviewed survivors from that incident as well. Is that correct?
Yes. I've interviewed over 200 survivors.
And what did they tell you?
They described the same phenomena the STARS officers reported. Infected citizens who didn't respond to gunfire, dead people getting back up, rescue workers who became violent attackers hours after being saved. Hospital staff watched patients die and then reanimate.
These survivors were fleeing a city subjected to a nuclear sterilization strike. They were traumatized. Where's the physical evidence?
It was incinerated by federal order.
Your Honor, without physical evidence to corroborate these monster sightings, the court has no basis to consider them as fact. What we have is the testimony of traumatized individuals influenced by shared trauma and media coverage. Miss Ashcroft, who was responsible for the Raccoon City facility where the outbreak originated?
Dr. William Birkin. He ran the underground research laboratory.
And what was Dr. Birkin researching?
A virus. He called it the G virus.
Did you know that Dr. Birkin was attempting to sell that research to the United States military?
I'd heard that, yes.
And did you know that when the military sent an extraction team to secure that research, Dr. Birkin resisted and was shot multiple times?
Yes, recovered video shows that.
So Dr. Birkin, a researcher who was negotiating with the military behind Umbrella's back, was shot by federal troops and accidentally exposed himself to a dangerous biological agent. That's when the outbreak began. Isn't that correct?
The outbreak started when the virus spread from Birkin's laboratory into the city's water supply.
Because Dr. Birkin chose to extract his research rather than alert authorities about a containment breach. He prioritized his personal ambitions over public safety, just like Captain Wesker. Both men are now conveniently dead. Both died in accidents related to their own illegal activities. And you want this court to hold Umbrella Pharmaceuticals responsible for their unauthorized experiments.
Umbrella employed them. Umbrella funded them. Umbrella promoted them. Umbrella gave them the facilities and resources to conduct those experiments.
Your Honor, Miss Ashcroft is testifying rather than answering questions. I have no further questions for this witness.
Redact. Your Honor, Miss Ashcroft, the defense claims that Wesker and Birkin acted without corporate knowledge. Based on your investigation, did Umbrella's board of directors receive reports from these facilities?
Yes. quarterly budget reports, research progress updates, safety compliance filings. All of it went through corporate approval channels. The board knew what was being researched because they authorized the funding.
Thank you. Nothing further.
We're cutting away from the courtroom. What you just heard is Umbrella's legal strategy laid bare: blame dead men who can't defend themselves, discredit survivor testimony as trauma-induced hallucination, weaponize the lack of physical evidence that was destroyed by federal order. The defense is arguing that Albert Wesker and William Birkin were rogue criminals, that reports of walking corpses and biological mutations are either fabrications or misunderstandings, that Umbrella itself is a victim, a corporation betrayed by employees who somehow accessed millions in funding, operated classified facilities, and conducted illegal research for over a decade, all without corporate knowledge. The preliminary hearings continue tomorrow. We'll bring you coverage as it develops. I'm Bill Carter.
All right. So by now everyone's seen the footage. The surveillance clips from the Paris facility, a woman, young, maybe late teens, moving through what's supposed to be one of the most secure corporate installations in Europe. And she's not stumbling around like she got lost on her way to the bathroom. She's moving like she knows exactly what she's doing. Now, I've got someone here tonight who says she knows exactly who this woman is. And if she's right, this story gets a whole lot more interesting. Nicole Grady is a close friend of the Redfield family, and she's been advocating for survivors of the Arklay Mountains incident since the STARS cover-up first broke. Nicole, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I wish it were under better circumstances.
So let's just get right to it. The woman in the Paris footage, who is she?
Her name is Claire Redfield. She's 19 years old. She's a college student, and her brother is Chris Redfield, one of the STARS officers who survived the Arklay Mountains mansion incident last summer and tried to warn everyone about what Umbrella was doing.
Wait, hold on. Chris Redfield. I remember that name. He was one of the officers who went public about Umbrella's illegal research before anyone was talking about it. He and, what was her name? Jill Valentine.
That's right. Chris and Jill were part of the team that went into the Spencer Mansion in July. They came out with evidence of human experimentation, weaponized viruses, and creatures that shouldn't exist. Umbrella tried to discredit them, called them liars, said they were fabricating evidence for attention. Then Raccoon City happened, and suddenly everyone realized they'd been telling the truth the entire time.
So where is Chris now? I mean, after Raccoon City, you'd think these STARS survivors would be front and center. Congressional testimony, media appearances, the whole circus.
That's the thing. Chris disappeared in early October, right after Raccoon City was destroyed. One day he was coordinating with what was left of local law enforcement, and the next he was just gone. No forwarding address, no contact with family. Claire hasn't heard from him in weeks.
Okay, but help me understand something. You're telling me a 19-year-old college student, no military training, no special operations background, broke into an Umbrella facility in Paris. How does that make any sense?
Because she's not going in blind. Chris taught her things, survival skills, self-defense, how to move, how to think tactically. He's been protective of her since they were kids. After their parents died, it was just the two of them. He made sure she knew how to take care of herself.
So she's looking for him. That's what this is about.
She's doing the only thing that makes sense to her. The authorities aren't helping. The government doesn't know where he is, or they're not saying. Claire decided that if no one else was going to find her brother, she'd do it herself. And the only lead she had was Umbrella.
That's wild. I mean, I get the motivation. Family is family. But to go after a company that just killed 100,000 people, that takes a special kind of either courage or desperation.
I think it's both. Claire isn't reckless. She doesn't do things without thinking them through. But she's also not going to sit around waiting for someone else to solve her problems. When she found out Chris went dark after investigating an Umbrella connection, she started tracking the same leads he was following. Paris was one of them.
Do we know what she found? I mean, she got in, she got out alive. Did she actually get anything useful?
I don't know for certain. I haven't been able to reach her since the news broke. But knowing Claire, she didn't go in there without a plan for what to look for. Personnel records, transfer orders, anything that might tell her where Chris was sent or where he went on his own.
And now she's gone dark, too.
Yes. No calls, no messages, nothing since the breach. I've been checking every source I have, and it's like she vanished.
That's concerning. After what we've seen Umbrella do to people who get in their way.
It is, but I've known Claire since she was 16. She's survived things most people can't imagine. If anyone can handle whatever she's walked into, it's her. I just hope she finds Chris before Umbrella finds her.
Okay, let me ask you something bigger. The Redfields, the Star's survivors, whatever's happening in Paris. This feels like it's all connected. We've got a company that should be in complete collapse, still operating black sites across multiple continents. We've got whistleblowers disappearing. We've got a teenage girl breaking into secure facilities looking for answers. Where does this all go?
I don't know, but I can tell you what Chris believed before he disappeared. He thought Umbrella had something much bigger than what happened in Raccoon City, something they were protecting above everything else. He said the mansion was just the beginning. He said there were other facilities, other projects, and he was going to find them.
Other projects, like the ones they're apparently shipping to the Southern Ocean right now.
Maybe. I don't have proof of that. But I can tell you that Chris wasn't chasing ghosts. He was following real information. And now Claire is following him. If both of them end up at the same place, we might finally learn what Umbrella has been hiding.
Or they both disappear, and we never hear from either of them again.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Nicole Grady, thank you for coming on and telling us about Claire and Chris Redfield. If you're out there listening, Claire, wherever you are, there are people who want to help. Don't do this alone.
Thank you. I hope she's listening.
That's all the time we have for tonight. I'm Isaac Sunderland. We'll be back next week with more on the ongoing Umbrella investigation. Stay safe out there.
It takes a special kind of person to walk the thin blue line. The Crimson City Police Department is currently accepting applications for the Fall Academy. We need tough, uncompromising detectives who aren't afraid to look into the darkest, most twisted corners of this city and do what it takes to survive. The job isn't easy, but if you've got what it takes, we'll give you the training and support to make a real difference. Join the KCPD. Make a difference. Applications available at KCPD headquarters on Gatwick Avenue or online at kcpd.gov. The Crimson City Police Department, protecting and serving since 1896.
October 30th. When I joined Umbrella Incorporated, I thought that I would be able to live carefree for the rest of my life, being employed by this huge corporation. Good benefits, steady paycheck. That was the idea anyway. It's a joke that I ended up being a driver at a place like this. I asked for a position change, put in the paperwork twice. They completely ignored me, both times. Nobody even bothered to respond. It It feels more like a prison than a job. Work is extremely demanding. 16-hour shifts sometimes, and no one tells you what we're actually hauling. Just sealed containers with markings I don't recognize. Heavy security on everything. There's nothing fun about it. Nothing to look forward to. Just work, sleep, work again. Some days I think I'd rather be dead. At least then I wouldn't be stuck at the bottom of the world, driving trucks for people who don't even know my name.
Tonight I want to read from the book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 1. How lonely sits the city that was full of people. How like a widow she has become, she who was great among the nations. Those words were written about Jerusalem, about a city that had fallen, about streets that had once been filled with laughter, with children playing, with neighbors calling to each other across the road. And then, in one terrible season, all of it was gone. I don't need to tell you what city I'm thinking of tonight. We've all been thinking of it. Raccoon City. 100,000 people lived there. They went to work. They raised families. They sat in churches like this one and prayed for their children's futures. They had no idea what was coming. None of them asked for what happened. None of them deserved it. I've heard people on the television talking about infection rates, viral spread patterns, government decisions, and all of that matters. It does. But I want us to remember something else tonight. Every number they put on the screen was a person. Every statistic was somebody's mother, somebody's son, somebody who made their wife laugh at breakfast that morning and didn't come home that night. Some of you in this room have family in the Midwest. Some of you are still waiting for phone calls that aren't going to come. I know. I've been praying with you. I've seen what this has done to our community. We're grieving for people we never met. And we're grieving for people we loved. And we're grieving for the idea that it could have been us. That's honest. That's human. God made us to feel that. But here's what I want you to understand. The book of Lamentations doesn't end with verse 1. It doesn't stop at the grief. Later in that same book, chapter 3, verses 22 and 23, the prophet writes this: the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness, new every morning. That's what we hold on to. Not the idea that everything will be fine. Not the fantasy that we can pretend this didn't happen. But the promise that God's mercy meets us fresh each day. That when we wake up tomorrow, heartbroken and scared and angry, the Lord will be there. He won't have left. He can't leave. It isn't in his nature. I spoke with Mrs. Daniels this week. Her nephew worked at the hospital in Raccoon City. A nurse, 26 years old. She told me she's been waking up in the middle of the night, and her first thought is that maybe she dreamed it. Maybe he's still there. Maybe her phone will ring. And then she remembers, and the grief hits her all over again. That's where we are right now, waking up and remembering over and over. But I told Mrs. Daniels what I'm going to tell you. We don't grieve alone. We don't carry this alone. The city that was full of people is gone, but we are still full of people. This room is full of people. And every single one of us can hold a piece of this weight, so no one person has to carry it all. So here's what I'm asking you to do. When you leave here tonight, check on your neighbors. Not tomorrow, tonight. Knock on the door. Ask how they're holding up. Sit with them if they need it. Let them cry if they need to cry. That's what the body of Christ does. We don't look away from suffering. We walk into it together. Let us pray. Lord, we come before you tonight with heavy hearts. We lift up the souls of those we lost in Raccoon City. The mothers, the fathers, the children who never got to grow up. We don't understand why, Lord. We may never understand, but we trust in your mercy. We trust that you are walking with us through this valley. And we trust that your love never ceases. Hold us tonight. Hold us tomorrow. And help us hold each other. In Jesus' name, amen.
This is Vance, December 24th, 1998. I'm recording this from a storage closet off the main cell block. Found a first aid spray and some 9mm rounds on a dead guard outside. That's all that's kept me breathing since I got here. The compound is a maze. I've been mapping corridors for 3 days and I still can't find a clear route to the administrative sector. Every door requires some kind of specialized key or emblem. I found a hawk-shaped crest in a locked drawer yesterday. Still don't know what it opens. There's a guillotine in the main yard. I watched them use it twice from a ventilation grate. No trial. No charges read. Just a guard reading names from a clipboard and prisoners dragged screaming to the platform. The blade's rusted brown, but it still cuts clean. The military training facility on the east side runs drills at all hours. Live ammunition. Something's moving in those shooting galleries that isn't human. I've heard the things they're training against. Wet. Dragging sounds. Groaning that doesn't stop even when the gunfire does. I found a diary in one of the abandoned barracks. A worker named Eddie wrote about screaming from the basement levels, about containers being moved at night that leave trails of something that smells like rotting meat. The last entry just says he can't take it anymore. The rest of the pages are blank. There's a palace on the cliffs overlooking the compound. Gothic architecture. Completely out of place. The commander lives there. Alfred Ashford. The prisoners whisper his name like a curse. They say he watches everything from up there. That he knows every corridor, every hiding place, every locked door and what opens them. I'm running low on supplies. Haven't found anything useful in the last 4 rooms I've searched. But I can't stop now. Whatever Umbrella's hiding in those underground labs, whatever they're doing to the people they bring here, I'm going to find proof. I just have to survive long enough to get it out.
History comes alive in the English countryside. Take a weekend tour of the historic Barrows Estate. Marvel at the sprawling courtyards, the ancient architecture, and our world-famous clock tower. It's a family legacy that survived for generations. Our expert guides will walk you through centuries of British history, from the Tudor period through the Victorian era. Tours run every Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Come visit the Barrows Estate. They're always looking for new guests. For reservations, ring 01632478900. The Barrows Estate. Time stands still.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. Tonight we continue our investigation into the Umbrella Corporation with troubling new revelations about a remote facility that, until now, has existed entirely outside public awareness. The location is known internally as Rockfort Island, and what we've learned about its operation raises serious questions about the limits of corporate jurisdiction. Rockfort Island is located in the Southern Ocean, far from any national coastline. Satellite imagery obtained by our network shows a heavily fortified compound surrounded by natural cliffs and military-grade security infrastructure. There are no commercial flight paths to this location, no registered shipping routes. For all practical purposes, this island doesn't officially exist. Joining us tonight is David Sterling, former Federal Pharmaceutical Oversight Director and longtime corporate accountability advocate. David, you've been researching Umbrella's offshore operations for years. What can you tell us about Rockfort Island?
Well, Bill, when I ran the oversight office, we kept files on every offshore facility the major pharmaceutical companies operated. Rockfort Island first appeared in corporate filings in the early 1970s, listed as a processing facility for pharmaceutical raw materials. But the land acquisition records tell a different story. I obtained those records through a Freedom of Information request back in '94. The island was purchased from a small South American nation through a series of shell companies, and the native population, about 200 people who'd lived there for generations, were displaced within 18 months of the sale. There's a civil lawsuit still pending in international court from the surviving families.
Displaced. What happened to them?
According to depositions from that lawsuit, some were relocated to the mainland with minimal compensation. Others were conscripted into Umbrella's private security apparatus, given no real choice in the matter. A few families who refused to cooperate simply vanished from the records. By 1980, there was no trace of the original community. Umbrella had turned the island into a sovereign corporate territory operating under its own rules.
And what is it used for now?
Since Raccoon City, we've had 3 former Umbrella employees come forward anonymously. 2 of them worked logistics at Rockfort before requesting transfers. Based on their testimony and internal documents that leaked during the federal investigation, the island serves multiple functions. It's a military training ground for Umbrella's private security forces. It's a logistics hub for classified shipments moving between continents. And most disturbingly, it operates as a detention facility.
A detention facility. You're describing a private prison.
I'm describing something worse than a prison. Prisons have oversight. Courts review sentences. International law governs treatment of detainees. Rockfort Island has none of that. One of our whistleblowers described it as a holding pen for corporate enemies, employees who knew too much, industrial spies, anyone who threatened Umbrella's secrets. He said some had been confined for years without any legal process whatsoever.
David, we've received a brief encrypted transmission from our investigative reporter Vance, who's managed to embed himself at Rockfort Island. What he describes is deeply troubling. He mentions execution grounds, a guillotine in active use, laboratories where prisoners are taken and never return. How is it possible that something like this could operate undetected?
Because Umbrella designed it that way. I spent 6 years trying to get jurisdiction over offshore pharmaceutical operations when I ran the oversight office. The island sits in international waters. No single nation has authority. Shipping manifests are falsified or classified under defense exemptions. And until Raccoon City collapsed, Umbrella had the political connections to ensure no one asked difficult questions. Believe me, I asked. I was told to drop it.
Vance's transmission mentioned a commander, someone named Alfred, who runs the island. Do we know anything about him?
Alfred Ashford. I pulled his personnel file from the documents that came out during the Raccoon City hearings. He's the 7th Earl Ashford, a member of one of the founding families of Umbrella, appointed commander of Rockfort Island in '93 at age 22. The file describes him as obsessed with military history and European aristocracy. But it's the testimony from extracted prisoners that's really concerning.
Extracted prisoners?
Over the years, a handful of detainees have been released or escaped. 3 of them gave depositions to my organization before Raccoon City happened. They describe Alfred as unstable, deeply sadistic. One woman said he would watch executions from the palace windows while dressed in what she called aristocratic costume. Another said he talked to himself constantly, as if someone else were in the room.
The Ashford family. That name keeps appearing in connection with Umbrella's darkest operations.
The Ashfords were co-founders of Umbrella alongside Oswald Spencer back in the 60s. That's a matter of public record from the original corporate charter. Dr. Edward Ashford was one of the virologists who discovered the progenitor compound. But according to internal memos we've obtained, The family's influence declined over the decades. Spencer outmaneuvered them politically. Rockfort Island appears to be Alfred's attempt to maintain relevance through operational control rather than corporate politics.
David, with everything we now know about Umbrella, the Raccoon City disaster, the federal investigations, how is a facility like Rockfort Island still operating?
Because shutting down an international corporation with assets across dozens of countries isn't something that happens overnight. Legal processes take months. Diplomatic agreements need to be negotiated. And in the meantime, Umbrella's using that window to relocate everything it wants to protect. The shipments Vance described, the biological samples, the sealed cargo containers heading south, those are the assets they're prioritizing. And Rockfort Island is the staging point.
Staging point for what?
For Antarctica. We've confirmed through satellite analysis and shipping records that Umbrella operates at least one major installation south of the 82nd parallel, a research facility built into an abandoned mine beneath the ice. One of our sources inside the company described it as the vault. Whatever they consider most valuable, most dangerous, most worth protecting at any cost. That's where it's going. And Rockfort Island is the last human checkpoint before it disappears under the polar ice forever.
David Sterling, thank you for joining us. We'll continue to monitor transmissions from our reporter Vance as long as he remains in communication. If you're watching this and you have information about Umbrella's offshore operations, please contact our secure tip line. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us.
Attention commercial freight captains. Scorched Logistics is looking for reliable maritime contractors for heavy-duty cargo transport to the Ibis Island Research Facility. We need captains who can keep to a schedule, keep a tight lip, and handle oversized, volatile cargo. All shipments are classified under Republic of Borgia maritime law. Hazard pay guaranteed. Compensation starts at $12,000 per run, with bonuses for discretion and punctuality. Contact the Republic of Borgia Shipping Authority for contracts. Call 800-555 Scorched Logistics, when it absolutely has to get there.
Wex 4 Kilo 7, this is cargo vessel Meridian Star. We're picking up a distress signal on maritime emergency frequency. Signal is weak but readable. Sounds like it's coming from somewhere in the Southern Ocean. Mayday caller. This is WX 4 Kilo 7. Please identify yourself and state your position. We are receiving your transmission.
Rockfort actual to any station. Any station. Please respond. This is a priority 1 emergency.
Rockfort actual. I read you. This is cargo vessel Meridian Star, approximately 200 nautical miles northeast of your bearing. What is your emergency?
The containment. The containment has failed. Subjects are loose in the detention block. They killed Martinez. They killed him right in front of me. I watched them.
Rockfort actual. Slow down. I need you to give me specifics. What subjects? What kind of containment failure are we talking about?
The prisoners. The dead prisoners. They're not staying dead. The ones we executed last week, they're walking. They broke out of the mass graves and they're walking.
Rockfort actual. Say again? I'm not sure I copied that correctly. Did you say the dead are...
You heard me. The dead are rising from the execution grounds. They're coming up from the soil and they're attacking everyone they find. Command center is gone. Half the barracks are gone. I'm in the radio shack and there's something trying to get through the door.
Rockfort actual. Can you barricade your position? We're plotting your coordinates now. I'm gonna try to raise Coast Guard emergency services.
Coast Guard can't help us. Nobody can help us. You don't understand what's happening here. The dogs are infected too. I saw Sergeant Hendricks get torn apart by our own dogs. Their skin was falling off and they just kept coming.
Rockfort actual. Stay with me. I need you to calm down and give me your exact position on the island. Is there a helipad, a dock, somewhere a rescue team could land?
There won't be a rescue. The commander, Alfred, he sealed the harbor. Nothing comes in. Nothing goes out. He's in the palace and he's not responding to anyone.
Rockfort actual. What is your name? I want to know who I'm talking to.
Miller. Douglas Miller. Sergeant. Umbrella Security Service. Listen to me. If you can hear this, if anyone can hear this, do not come to this island. Whatever you do, do not...
Miller. Miller, are you there? Rockfort Actual. Please respond. Rockfort Actual. This is WX4 Kilo 7. I've lost your signal. Please respond if you can hear me. All stations. All stations. This is cargo vessel Meridian Star. We've just received a distress call from an installation identifying as Rockfort Island. The transmission described a biological emergency of unknown origin. We've lost contact with the caller. If anyone receives this, please advise. Meridian Star standing by.
Are you experiencing vivid, unexplainable hallucinations? Does the geometry of your own house suddenly feel wrong? Do you hear voices chanting in languages you don't understand? You aren't losing your sanity, you just need the right doctor. Call the office of Dr. Edward Roivas, clinical psychology. With over 20 years of experience treating unusual perceptual disorders, Dr. Roivas specializes in cases other physicians won't touch. Let's conquer the darkness together. Evening and weekend appointments available. Call 401-555 Roivas. Dr. Edward Roivas. When reality needs professional help.
Today I want to figure out why the official Raccoon City casualty numbers don't match what's coming out of the survivor networks. I've been tracking these discrepancies for weeks and they're not reconciling. Missing persons reports that predate the outbreak by months. Evacuation logs with gaps you could drive a truck through. And then there's the testimony from the Umbrella Trials where defense lawyers are claiming the whole thing was a rogue employee situation. I've managed to get a phone interview with someone who was there, former Raccoon City Police Department officer Leon Kennedy. Leon, thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I can say, but I'll do what I can.
Let's start with the basics. You arrived in Raccoon City on September 29th. First day on the job. Walk me through what you saw.
I got to the outskirts late, sometime around midnight. My tank was running on fumes, so I pulled into a gas station right on the edge of town. The pumps were abandoned. The store was dead quiet. I stepped inside to find the attendant, and that's when I saw the bodies, just completely torn apart. The floor was slick with blood. I drew my weapon, thought I was alone in the nightmare. That's when the front door burst open and she ran in. Claire, if we hadn't found each other right then, I don't think either of us would have made it out of there.
Okay. So in the trial transcripts, Umbrella's defense is arguing that survivor reports of quote-unquote walking dead are trauma-induced hallucinations, that the real issue was a viral outbreak combined with mass panic. Can you respond to that?
That's bullshit. I'm a cop. I was trained to observe and report accurately under pressure. What I saw wasn't mass hysteria. It was necrotic tissue reanimated by a manufactured pathogen, the T-virus. Umbrella created it. Umbrella lost control of it. And now they're trying to blame dead employees who can't defend themselves.
You said manufactured pathogen. How do you know it wasn't a naturally occurring disease? The defense team keeps calling it a mountain virus.
Because I saw the things they built with it. Bioorganic weapons. There was a tyrant in the Raccoon City Police Department. 9 feet tall. Claws like machetes. Bulletproof skin. That's not a mountain disease. That's engineered combat weaponry.
Walk me through the timeline. When did you encounter this tyrant?
Claire and I got separated. I made it to the RPD headquarters, looking for other officers. The building was supposed to be the safest place in the city. Fortified, armed. But when I got there, it was a tomb. Bodies everywhere. While I was in the police station, the tyrant came through the wall.
It came through the wall?
Didn't use a door. Didn't use the stairs. Just smashed straight through concrete and rebar like it was drywall. That's when I saw it for the first time. 9 feet tall. Gray skin stretched over muscle mass that shouldn't exist.
And you're certain this wasn't some kind of, I don't know, contaminated individual? Someone infected by the virus who mutated?
This thing had tactical awareness. It cornered us, cut off our escape routes, used the environment as cover. Standard zombies, the regular infected, they just stumble forward. No strategy, no problem solving. You can bait them into traps, lead them away from objectives. This was different. This thing adapted. When we blocked one route, it found another. When I tried to circle around it, anticipated and cut us off. That's not random mutation. That's engineered intelligence.
How did you get away from it?
I didn't get away. I survived it. There's a difference. I managed to get my hands on a grenade launcher. Hit it with everything I had, and it still took multiple direct hits before it went down. And even then, I'm not convinced it was dead. I just ran while it was regenerating.
You mentioned other weapons, plural.
Yeah. There were lickers. Skinless. Completely skinless. You could see the muscle tissue. The exposed brain. They were blind, but they hunted by sound. Echolocation. Like bats. And they were fast. Faster than anything I'd ever seen move. Claws that could punch through steel doors. I watched one of them rip through a security gate like it was aluminum foil.
That's... okay. How do you fight something like that?
You don't make noise. You move slowly. You pray it doesn't hear your heartbeat. And if it does hear you, you empty your magazine into it and hope you hit something vital before it closes the distance. I also encountered IV creatures. Plant-based mutations with acid blood. Every single one of them had umbrella equipment nearby. Containment canisters. Transport crates. Biohazard labels with the umbrella logo stamped on them.
That's pretty damning evidence. Can you corroborate any of this with documentation?
Most of the physical evidence was incinerated when the government sterilized the city. I gave my testimony to federal investigators.
And those investigators, where are they now? Because I've been trying to contact federal oversight for weeks and I keep hitting dead ends.
I can't comment on ongoing investigations.
Okay. Let me ask this differently. You were a rookie cop on September 29th. Now it's late December and you vanished from the public record. No employment history, no forwarding address, no listed phone number. Where are you?
I can't discuss my current location.
Can't or won't?
Let's just say I've been recruited by people who have the resources to make sure Umbrella never does this again. I can't tell you who they are or where I'm operating, but I can tell you they're serious, and they're not waiting for the courts to finish deliberating.
That sounds like you're describing a paramilitary operation.
That's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, let me shift gears. You mentioned Umbrella's facilities are still active. Can you give me any specifics about where they're operating?
I can't discuss active operations, but I can tell you this. Umbrella didn't just have research labs. They had entire islands, military training facilities, prisons where they tested bioweapons on human subjects. Some of those sites are still operational right now as we're speaking.
Jesus. You're saying there could be another Raccoon City happening somewhere right now?
I'm saying Umbrella's assets didn't disappear when the trials started. Their people are still out there. Their weapons are still being manufactured. And if the public thinks this is over because a few executives are sitting in a courtroom, they're wrong. This is just getting started.
That's not exactly reassuring.
It's not supposed to be reassuring. It's supposed to be true. People need to understand what they're dealing with. Umbrella isn't a pharmaceutical company that made some mistakes. It's a weapons manufacturer that specialized in biological terror. And until every one of their facilities is shut down and every sample is destroyed, nobody's safe.
Leon, one more question before you go. If you could say anything to the families of the people who died in Raccoon City, what would it be?
I'd tell them I'm sorry. I'd tell them their loved ones didn't die because of a virus or an accident, or rogue employees. They died because a corporation valued profits over human life. And I'd tell them that some of us are making sure it doesn't happen again. That's all I've got.
Thank you for talking with me. Stay safe out there.
You too.
That was Leon Kennedy, former Raccoon City Police Department officer, now working for an unnamed federal anti-bioterrorism unit. He's the first survivor I've interviewed who's willing to go on record contradicting Umbrella's defense strategy. And he's telling us that Umbrella's facilities are still operational, still producing weapons, still a threat, I don't know about you, but I'm not sleeping well tonight.
Trouble sleeping? Feeling anxious? Traditional medicine letting you down? Try PTV, the new all-natural herbal supplement from Kaufman Pharmaceuticals. Derived from the rare white Claudia flower, PTV promises a total escape from your everyday stress. Customers report vivid dreams, deep relaxation, and a sense of peace they've never experienced before. Side effects may include vivid hallucinations, severe dependency, and spontaneous religious fervor. Ask your doctor if PTV is right for you. Available at Kaufman's Pharmacy on Sanford Street and at select locations throughout Silent Hill.
This is Vance. December 27th. Rockfort Island is under attack. I'm down to my last magazine and I can't find any more ammo anywhere. The supply crates that were here yesterday are gone. Helicopters came in 20 minutes ago. Precision strikes on the armory and the underground labs. The blast doors that took me 3 days to find keys for. They've been blown off their hinges. Everything I worked to get past is just gone. The containment unit's in the basement. They're open. I just saw something pull itself out of a shattered tube. One arm stretched 20 feet across the courtyard like taffy. It grabbed a guard by the throat and yanked him into the smoke before he could scream. The dogs are loose. The things from the training facility. Their skin's falling off in strips, but they're still running. I watched a handler put 6 rounds into one, and it didn't even slow down. Just kept coming until it was on him. The prison cells are open. Someone hit the emergency release. Prisoners are running into the crossfire, stumbling over bodies, getting cut down by things that aren't human. I saw a woman go down near the fountain. 2 minutes later, she was back up, lurching toward the other survivors. I found a typewriter in one of the safe rooms before this started. Left my notes there. If I don't make it out, if someone finds this recorder and that typewriter, everything I documented is there. The dates, the names, what they've been doing here. The attackers aren't saving anyone. They're loading crates onto helicopters, research files, biological samples. This isn't a rescue. They came to steal something and they're letting everyone else die. I have to reach the palace. Alfred's residence on the cliffs. It's the only structure not on fire. I don't know how much longer I can keep moving.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. We're interrupting our scheduled programming with breaking news from the Southern Ocean. Military satellites have confirmed a devastating aerial bombardment on Rockfort Island, the remote Umbrella Corporation facility we reported on earlier this week. The attack began approximately 40 minutes ago and appears to be ongoing. What we know so far is this. At approximately 1900 hours local time, unidentified aircraft entered airspace over Rockfort Island and began precision strikes on multiple targets within the compound. Initial assessments suggest the bombardment was coordinated and highly organized, targeting specific infrastructure rather than indiscriminate destruction. We've assembled our expert panel to help us understand what's happening. Joining me are David Sterling, former Federal Pharmaceutical Oversight Director, and Marcus Thorne, Tactical Security Analyst. Marcus, I want to start with you. This attack doesn't appear to be any government operation we're aware of. Who has the capability to launch something like this?
Based on the satellite imagery we've been reviewing in the last hour, the attack profile matches a private military operation. The aircraft appear to be retrofitted transport helicopters and at least 2 fixed-wing bombers of Eastern European manufacture. The precision suggests detailed intelligence about the facility's layout. Someone knew exactly what to hit and where.
A private military operation against an umbrella facility. David, who would have both the resources and the motivation to do something like this?
Well, Bill, there are only a handful of organizations capable of mounting an operation at this scale. When I ran the oversight office, we tracked at least 3 rival pharmaceutical conglomerates with paramilitary assets of their own. Given the timing, immediately after Umbrella's public collapse, my assessment is that someone's trying to acquire their research before federal authorities can seize it.
A corporate heist.
Exactly. Umbrella's most valuable asset isn't their stock price or their manufacturing facilities. It's their proprietary research data, the viral engineering techniques, the biological weapons designs. That intellectual property is worth billions on the black market. And right now, with the company in chaos, it's vulnerable.
Marcus, we've received a live transmission from our embedded reporter Vance, who's on the island right now. What he's describing is absolute chaos. He reports that containment units have been breached, that biological weapons are loose in the compound. How does that fit with a targeted heist?
It's a deliberate tactic. I've seen this playbook before in my Pentagon work. Release the BOWs as a distraction. Force Umbrella's security forces to deal with internal threats while the strike team extracts the primary target. The creatures aren't the mission, they're cover. By the time anyone realizes what's really happening, the research data is already gone.
And the people still on the island? The prisoners? The workers? Vance himself?
Collateral damage. From the attacker's perspective, everyone on that island is expendable. The priority is target extraction. Once they have what they came for, they'll withdraw and let the chaos consume everything else. Standard scorched earth doctrine.
David, what specifically would they be targeting? What research is valuable enough to justify this level of violence?
Well, Vance transmitted something earlier today that caught my attention. He found documents in the facility referencing a project called T. Veronica. That name also appeared in the classified materials that leaked during the Raccoon City federal hearings. It's a variant strain that Umbrella's been developing in parallel to the pathogen that caused the outbreak.
A variant strain. How is it different?
According to the fragments Vance photographed, the T. Veronica strain was designed to preserve host intelligence while providing enhanced physical capabilities. If that's accurate, we're talking about a fundamentally different kind of weapon. The T. Veronicus turns people into mindless, aggressive carriers. Dangerous, but predictable. Something that preserves cognition would be infinitely more dangerous because the host could still think, still plan, still adapt.
Marcus, we're still monitoring Vance's transmission. The signal's degrading, but he's still broadcasting. He mentioned something about one-armed creatures and dogs with exposed muscle tissue. What are we looking at?
The one-armed creatures match descriptions from the Raccoon City after-action reports. Those documents called them Bandersnatches, engineered for close-quarters assault. The dogs would be Cerberus units, T-virus-infected canines bred for security work. Both were referenced in the classified military briefings after Raccoon. The fact that they're loose means containment has completely collapsed.
And Vance is in the middle of all of this.
If he's still transmitting, he's still alive. His best chance is to find a hardened structure and wait for the attackers to withdraw. Once the heist team has what they need, they'll pull out. The creatures won't pursue beyond the island perimeter.
David, final thought. If the T. Veronica research is successfully extracted tonight, what does that mean for global security?
It means the most dangerous biological weapons research in human history just changed hands. Umbrella was terrible, but at least we knew who they were. We had files on them. We could track them. If a rival organization, one operating entirely in the shadows, now has access to that science, we're looking at a new era of biological threats that we won't see coming until it's too late.
David Sterling, Marcus Thorne, thank you both. We'll continue monitoring transmissions from Rockfort Island as long as our correspondent Vance is able to broadcast. Our thoughts are with him tonight. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us. We're going to take you now to the federal courthouse in Washington, where the Raccoon Trials entered their third week of preliminary hearings this morning. Federal prosecutors called what they're describing as their most critical medical witness to date. The witness is a former STARS Bravo team field medic, and at just 18 years old during the Arklay Mountains incident, she's the youngest survivor to take the stand.
Good morning. Before we get into the events of July 1998, I'd like the court to understand your rather exceptional academic background. You were an accelerated student, correct? Graduating from university at the age of 18?
Yes, sir. I graduated as a child prodigy with a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry.
Chemistry. And because of that specialized brilliance, you were recruited directly out of college into the Raccoon City Police Department Special Tactics and Rescue Service, Bravo team, as their field medic. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Now, during your deployment to the Arklay Mountains on July 23rd, you encountered subjects inside the Spencer Mansion who were, at the time of contact, clinically deceased. I need you to explain to this court, in your capacity as a trained biochemist and field medic, what you observed.
The subjects I examined showed complete absence of cardiac function, no pulse, core body temperature consistent with decomposition in several cases, some as low as 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Lividity had already set in, and they were standing up. Necrotic tissue doesn't move on its own. A dead body doesn't bite. What I saw inside that mansion was a pathogen actively hijacking the host's motor function after death, forcing reanimation through direct manipulation of the brainstem. That isn't disease. That's engineering.
In your professional medical opinion, could any known pathogen found in nature produce the symptoms you've described?
No. Nothing in the natural world reanimates dead tissue and restores motor aggression. The mutation rate alone rules out any known viral family. This was manufactured.
Thank you. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Counselor, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning. I'd like to go back to something the prosecution raised just a moment ago. Your age. You were 18 years old on the night in question. Is that right?
I was, yes.
18. And that deployment to the Arklay Mountains, that was your first field operation with STARS, wasn't it?
It was my first active deployment, but I'd completed the full STARS qualification course and I was certified in...
A yes or no will do. It was your first field operation. And isn't it true that within the first hour you were separated from your entire unit in a pitch-black forest?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is interrupting the witness and mischaracterizing the deployment conditions.
Sustained on the interruption. Counselor, let the witness finish her answers, but I'll allow the line of questioning.
Were you separated from your squad in the Arklay Forest? Yes or no?
Yes. Our helicopter went down and,
Thank you. So what we have, Your Honor, is an 18-year-old girl on her very first assignment, alone in the woods at night after a helicopter crash, with no senior officer present. Now, the mansion staff at the Spencer estate had been under quarantine for a respiratory illness for several weeks prior to this raid. Umbrella's own internal health records confirm a severe viral pneumonia spreading through the research staff.
Objection. Counsel is testifying. He's presenting Umbrella's own corporate documents as established fact without entering them into evidence.
I'll allow it for now, but you're on a short leash, Counselor. Get to your question.
Isn't it possible? Isn't it entirely reasonable that what you actually encountered were critically ill patients in the advanced stages of a hemorrhagic fever? Patients who were feverish, delirious, and exhibiting the kind of violent, erratic behavior consistent with severe neurological infection?
fever patients don't survive a 12-gauge shotgun blast to the chest and keep walking. I watched that happen twice.
Or, and I'm asking you to consider this carefully, isn't it more likely that a traumatized teenager in a dark building simply couldn't accurately assess what she was seeing? She was running on adrenaline and no sleep after a helicopter crash. You were scared, you were exhausted, and you were 18.
Objection, Your Honor. That's argumentative and it's been asked and answered.
Sustained. Move on, Counselor.
Nothing further.
That was recorded audio from this morning's session at the federal courthouse. I want to be clear about what just happened in that room. Umbrella's defense team didn't challenge a single piece of her medical testimony. They didn't ask about the pathogen. They didn't dispute the cellular data. They spent every second of that cross-examination talking about her age. That's the strategy. Take a brilliant chemist to watch dead bodies get up and walk and make the jury see a scared kid in the dark. If they can do that to a credentialed prodigy with a chemistry degree, what are they going to do to the civilian survivors who don't have one?
Experience the breathtaking beauty of Gothic architecture. Take a guided tour of the Oubliette Cathedral in Amiens, France. See the stunning stained glass, the towering spires, and the historic catacombs beneath the nave. Built in 1220, the cathedral stands as one of the finest examples of medieval craftsmanship in Europe. But please, stay with your tour guide. The catacombs run deeper than any map, and you wouldn't want to get lost in the dark. Tours available daily at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. For more information, visit amienstourism.fr, the Oubliette Cathedral, where heaven and earth meet.
This is Vance, December 27th. Late. I made it to Alfred's palace. The door was locked with some kind of gold emblem mechanism. Took me an hour to find the matching piece in a music box downstairs. The whole building is designed like a puzzle. This place is wrong. Gothic corridors. Oil paintings of the same woman on every wall. There's a carousel on the second floor with wooden horses that rotate when you play a specific melody on an antique piano. Why would anyone build something like this? I found Alfred's private quarters behind a hidden panel. Had to arrange 3 portraits in a specific order to trigger the mechanism. Inside, women's clothes, dresses laid out on the bed, makeup and wigs on mannequin heads, and journals, dozens of journals. 2 different handwriting styles, one precise and controlled, the other larger, more expressive. But they're both discussing the same events, the same memories, like 2 people sharing one life. The guards mentioned a sister, Alexia, supposed to have died 15 years ago. But these journals, Alfred's writing to her like she's still here, still watching. I think he's been dressing in her clothes, playing both parts in his own twisted theater. I'm out of ammunition. Used my last rounds on a zombie in the East Wing hallway. Found a combat knife in a display case. But if something big finds me, I won't stand a chance. Wait. Footsteps in the corridor. Heavy boots. Coming this way.
Mental health affects us all. If you or a loved one are struggling with severe psychological distress, the Crimson City Health Board is here to help. Beacon Mental Hospital offers state-of-the-art neurological treatments under the care of Dr. Marcelo Jimenez. Our dedicated staff provides compassionate, cutting-edge therapy designed to help patients reconnect with reality. Don't suffer in silence. Come to Beacon and let us help you reconnect your mind. For admissions information, call the Crimson City Mental Health Hotline at 800-555-BEACON. Beacon Mental Hospital, lighting the way to recovery.
There is a demon in my mind. I can't control the fierce impulses that the demon sometimes drives me to do. I've tried. Lord knows I've tried, but the urges always return, stronger than before, demanding to be fed. I have no other choice but to continue to give life to my demon, to continue experimenting on the subjects that Sir Alfred has provided me with. The prisoners arrive in the night. They don't know why they've been chosen. Neither do I. Not really, but the demon knows. The demon always knows. I have finally come to the conclusion that I will never be able to escape from this cursed circle. Not as long as I am bound by my demon. The work is too fascinating. The screaming is too pure. When the scalpel parts flesh, when the bone saw finds its mark, I feel more alive than I have ever felt. Now I have made up my mind to throw myself with my demon into the inferno. The road is too far to heaven. That path was closed to me long ago. Perhaps the first time I opened a man's chest while his heart was still beating. I must go where my demon leads me, no matter how deep within hell I must descend. I can only hope that Sir Alfred will one day forgive me. I ask his forgiveness, not for me, but for my demon. He gave me purpose when I had none. He gave me subjects when I needed them. Without him, the demon would have consumed me from within. I have decided that I will offer the demon to Sir Alfred one day. I shall offer to him my most precious equipment, the surgical implements that have served me so faithfully, the specimens I have preserved so carefully. Everything will be infected by my demon. And when Sir Alfred touches them, perhaps he will understand what it felt like to be me.
This is Vance. December 27th, Rockfort Island. I don't have much time. The self-destruct sequence just activated. Automated voice counting down through the compound speakers. 15 minutes, maybe less. I survived. When Alfred found me in his quarters, I hid behind a wardrobe full of his sister's dresses. He walked right past me, talking to himself in two different voices. One masculine, one feminine, carrying on a conversation like there were two people in the room. I watched him through a crack in the door. He changed clothes right there. Put on a blonde wig. Applied makeup. When he spoke again, his voice was completely different. Higher. Colder. He called himself Alexia, his dead sister. He's been playing both roles for years. I've been moving through this facility for days now. Every weapon I found, every key, every emblem that opened a locked door, I put it back exactly where I found it. Couldn't risk anyone noticing things were missing. Couldn't risk Alfred realizing someone was still alive and searching. Seems pointless now that the whole island's about to burn. But I found something. A computer terminal in the administrative sector. Behind a door that required 3 different proofs of lineage to unlock. Took me 2 days to find all the pieces. The Ashford family crest. A ceremonial dagger. A golden music box that played their ancestral anthem. The files on that terminal. I'm transmitting everything right now. Research logs. Experiment reports. The entire history of something called Code Veronica. A eugenics program. Alfred and his sister weren't born naturally. They were engineered, created from the genetic material of their ancestor to restore some twisted family legacy. Their father, Alexander Ashford, he used his own children as test subjects. Injected the girl with something called the T. Veronica virus. She's been in cryogenic stasis since 1983. 15 years frozen in a chamber somewhere in Antarctica. The terminal had coordinates. I'm sending those too. I saw 2 survivors escape the compound before the lockdown. A young woman in red and a teenage boy. They made it to the underground airport. I watched them take off in a cargo plane on the security monitors. Alfred was screaming into a radio, rerouting their flight path. He's sending them to Antarctica, to his sister. The transmission's almost complete. Everything I found, everything Umbrella tried to bury on this island, it's going straight to the station. If I don't make it out, at least the evidence will. The countdown just hit 5 minutes. The floor is shaking. I can hear the charges going off in the lower levels. There's no way to reach the surface in time. The blast doors are sealed, and I used my last key card getting into this room. This is Vance, investigative reporter. If anyone's listening, make sure the world sees what I'm sending. Make sure they know what Umbrella did here, what the Ashfords built, what's waiting in Antarctica. Transmission complete. Tell my editor I got the story. Tell him I...
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. We begin tonight with two developing stories from the Rockfort Island crisis. The first concerns an unauthorized aircraft departure from the island's hidden airfield. The second, and I must tell you this is difficult to report, concerns our embedded correspondent Vance, who transmitted critical intelligence before the facility's destruction. Vance is confirmed dead. He was still transmitting when the self-destruct sequence reached its final countdown. But in those final minutes, he sent us everything. Research files, experiment logs, coordinates for Umbrella's Antarctic facility, information that Umbrella never wanted the world to see. Aviation tracking services have confirmed that a C-130 Hercules cargo aircraft took off from Rockfort Island shortly before the detonation. The aircraft's flight path has been traced heading due south toward the Antarctic continent. Vance reported seeing two survivors board that plane, a young woman in red and a teenage boy. Joining me once again is David Sterling, former Federal Pharmaceutical Oversight Director. David, we've been reviewing the files Vance transmitted. What have we learned?
Bill, I've spent the last 6 hours going through what Vance sent us. It's staggering. He found a secure terminal in the administrative sector. According to his transmission, it was locked behind a door that required 3 separate proofs of Ashford lineage to access: a family crest, a ceremonial dagger, and a golden music box.
And what was behind that door?
Everything the Ashfords wanted to hide. Research logs going back to 1971. Something called the Code Veronica Project. It's a eugenics program, Bill. Alfred and Alexia Ashford weren't born naturally. According to these files, they were genetically engineered from the preserved genetic material of their ancestor.
Engineered. You're saying they were created in a laboratory?
That's what the files indicate. Their father, Alexander Ashford, designed them to restore the family's scientific legacy. But the experiment went further than simple genetics. Vance found records showing that Alexander injected Alexia with the T. Veronica virus when she was 12 years old, then placed her in cryogenic stasis.
Cryogenic stasis. She's been frozen since 1983?
15 years. According to Vance's transmission, the cryogenic chamber is located at Umbrella's Antarctic facility. He transmitted the coordinates directly from the terminal, south of the 82nd parallel, built into an abandoned mine beneath the ice.
David, Vance also transmitted something deeply disturbing about Alfred Ashford himself.
He witnessed it firsthand. Vance hid in Alfred's private quarters when the commander came looking for intruders. He watched through a crack in a wardrobe door as Alfred changed clothes, put on a blonde wig, applied makeup, and when Alfred spoke again, his voice had completely changed. He was calling himself Alexia.
He was impersonating his sister?
More than impersonating. Vance described him carrying on full conversations with himself in 2 different voices, one masculine, one feminine, switching between personas as if they were separate people in the room. He's been maintaining this delusion for 15 years while commanding Rockfort Island.
A man suffering from severe dissociative disorder was put in charge of a concentration camp.
That's exactly right. And based on what Vance reported, Alfred's now heading to Antarctica. Vance saw him at the communications console, screaming into a radio, rerouting the cargo plane's flight path. He's sending those 2 survivors directly to the facility where his sister's frozen body is stored.
We have civilians heading into a classified Umbrella installation, guided there by a mentally unstable facility commander.
And if Alexia Ashford wakes up after 15 years of viral integration, based on the research files Vance transmitted, we have no idea what she's become. The T. Veronica virus was designed to preserve cognition while providing enhanced capabilities. Her father used himself as a test subject before her. The experiment failed catastrophically. But Alexia believes she'd perfected the formula.
David, Vance died getting this information to us. He kept transmitting even as the countdown reached its final minutes. His last words were telling us to make sure the world sees what he found.
Vance understood something important. Umbrella can destroy facilities. They can eliminate individuals, but they can't stop the truth once it's been transmitted. Everything he found, the Code Veronica files, the experiment logs, the Antarctic coordinates, it's in our hands now. His sacrifice made sure of that.
David Sterling, Thank you. Vance gave his life to bring us this story. We'll continue analyzing the files he transmitted and monitoring the Antarctic region for any developments. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us.
Are you a registered nurse looking for a challenging but rewarding career? Brookhaven Hospital is currently expanding our psychiatric ward, and we need dedicated professionals like you. At Brookhaven, we believe in getting to the root of our patients' trauma. It's a job that'll really get inside your head. We offer competitive salaries, full benefits, and the satisfaction of making a real difference in people's lives. Apply in person today at our South Vale campus, or call us at 800-555-BROOK. Brookhaven Hospital, healing minds since 1928.
Folks, I need you to sit down for this one, because what I'm about to tell you is going to sound absolutely insane, and I get it. I really do. But just hear me out, because I've got sources on this. I've got documents, and everything I'm about to say is backed up by what just came out of Rockfort Island. The man running that island, the commander of Umbrella's most secure detention facility, a guy who oversaw executions and experiments on human beings for 5 years, he's been dressing up as his dead sister. You heard me right. Women's dresses, wigs, makeup, the whole thing. He's been having conversations with himself in a private Gothic mansion that he built specifically for his delusions. And nobody at Umbrella thought this was a problem. Now here's where it gets really interesting. The sister, Alexia Ashford, she died in 1983. That's what the official record says. Killed in a laboratory accident at an Antarctic research base when she was 12 years old. But I've been digging, and the story doesn't add up. This girl graduated from a university at age 10. She was running major research projects at 11. And then, conveniently, she dies right before her biggest breakthrough. Come on. I've got a contact, someone who worked logistics for the Antarctic facility in the late 80s, and they told me something that changes everything. The power consumption at that base never dropped after Alexia died. In fact, it increased. Whatever she was working on before her death, whatever required massive amounts of electricity, it kept running for 15 years, and nobody asked why. Are you still with me? Good. Because here's the kicker. Alfred Ashford, the crazy man in the dress, he just flew a cargo plane to Antarctica, not away from the danger, not to some tropical island where he could hide. No, he went straight to the place where his sister supposedly died 15 years ago. Why would he do that unless there's something there he needs to protect? Something he's been guarding all along? I think Alexia Ashford is still alive. I think she's been in that Antarctic facility this whole time. And I think whatever they've been doing down there, whatever required all that power, it's about to come online. The timing is too perfect. Rockfort Island gets destroyed, the research gets stolen, and Alfred runs straight to his sister. That's not coincidence. That's a plan. And let's talk about the Ashford family for a second. These aren't just rich people with a pharmaceutical company. These are European aristocrats. Old money, old blood. The kind of families that have been running things behind the scenes for centuries. Arthur Ashford, Alfred's great-grandfather, was photographed with Nazi officials in the 1930s. Golden Lugers from Hermann Goering himself. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a documented historical fact. This family has been mixed up in the darkest corners of power for 100 years, and now they're running biological weapons research from a secret base in Antarctica, while one of them pretends to be his dead sister and the other one is doing God knows what under the ice. Wake up, people. This is exactly what they don't want you to see. This is exactly what they've been hiding. Look, I know how this sounds. I really do. Aristocrats in women's clothing. Secret Antarctic bases. A dead girl who might not be dead. It sounds like something out of a bad horror movie. But you know what else sounded insane? The idea that a pharmaceutical company would intentionally release a virus that turns people into walking corpses, and then Raccoon City happened. So maybe it's time to start believing the unbelievable. Do your own research. Find the power consumption records from the Antarctic facility. Look into the Ashford family tree. Follow the money. Follow the bloodlines. And when you see what I've seen, you'll understand why they're trying so hard to keep this quiet. Something is waking up under the ice, and we're running out of time to stop it.
Sir Alfred, please forgive me, as I must tell you of my abrupt departure by leaving this letter. I have decided to leave the family that I have served so proudly for such a long time. This decision has not come easily. I have given the Ashford name the best years of my life. I can no longer tolerate the hateful way Lady Alexia treats you. Her manners are unacceptable as a lady of the Ashford family. I have watched her belittle you, dismiss your concerns, speak to you as though you were beneath her notice. No brother should endure such cruelty from his own sister. I can only assume the death of both your parents has had a very serious psychological impact on both you and Alexia. Such tragedies can warp even the strongest minds. Perhaps you and Alexia are still too immature to accept the dreadful fact of what happened to them. The grief has curdled into something darker. I have been with the Ashford family for a long time. I watched your grandfather conduct his research. I served your father when he still held hope for the future. And I have witnessed the fall of the glorious Ashford family from prominence to isolation, from honor to something I no longer recognize. However, I can no longer tolerate this family any longer. The weight of what I have seen has become too great. I wish you and Alexia the best. May you both rest in peace with your loving father and mother in the other world. Scott Harmon, Butler, Ashford family.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. In the days since our correspondent Vance gave his life-transmitting classified umbrella files from Rockfort Island, our team has been analyzing the data alongside public records and historical documents. Tonight, we present a special investigation into the family at the center of these horrors, the Ashfords. Joining me is Dr. John Kinsella, professor of European aristocratic history at Georgetown University and author of 3 books on British noble families and their corporate enterprises. Dr. Kinsella, you've been studying the Ashford lineage for over a decade. What can the historical record tell us about this family?
Well, Bill, the Ashford family appears in the British peerage records going back to the 17th century. They held the title of Earl continuously for 7 generations. But what distinguishes them from other noble families is their transition from landed aristocracy to industrial science in the 20th century.
When did that transition occur?
The corporate charter for Umbrella Pharmaceuticals, which is a matter of public record, lists 3 co-founders in 1968, Oswald E. Spencer, James Marcus, and Edward Ashford, the 5th Earl. Edward was a trained virologist, published extensively in European medical journals throughout the 60s. His academic credentials are well documented.
And what happened to Edward?
Edward died in 1968, shortly after Umbrella's founding. The death certificate lists natural causes, though some contemporary accounts suggest it was research-related. His son Alexander inherited the title, becoming the 6th Earl, but Alexander's academic record was far less distinguished than his father's.
Dr. Kinsella, before we discuss Alexander, I need to ask about something more troubling. There are documented connections between the Ashford family and the Nazi regime.
That's correct. I've personally examined the photographic evidence in the Imperial War Museum archives. Arthur Ashford, the 4th Earl, was photographed in 1937 receiving a pair of golden Luger pistols from Hermann Goering. This was part of the Anglo-German Fellowship, a pre-war diplomatic initiative that several British aristocrats participated in.
Does this connection extend to the family's later work?
What I can say from the historical record is that Arthur believed in aristocratic superiority, in certain bloodlines being inherently better than others. That ideology was common among his class at the time. Whether it influenced his descendants' research, I can only speculate. But the files your correspondent Vance transmitted suggest a direct line.
Let's discuss those files. Vance transmitted research logs from a project called Code Veronica. What do they reveal?
The files describe a eugenics program. According to research memos dated 1970, Alexander Ashford extracted genetic material from the preserved remains of his ancestor, the first Countess Veronica. He was attempting to recreate her genetic profile in a new generation. This isn't speculation, Bill. Vance photographed the original documentation.
He was trying to clone his ancestor.
The result, according to Vance's transmission, was twins born in 1971, Alfred and Alexia Ashford. Now, their birth records are a matter of public record, but the artificial nature of their conception was hidden. The files Vance found indicate Alexander deemed Alfred a failure by his metrics, but Alexander exceeded every expectation.
We've confirmed through university records that Alexia graduated at age 10.
That's verifiable. She was appointed chief researcher at an Umbrella laboratory by age 12. That appointment is in Umbrella's corporate records, which was subpoenaed during the Raccoon City hearings. What Vance's transmission reveals about what happened after that appointment is still being analyzed. But what we know from public records alone is disturbing enough.
Dr. John Kinsella, thank you for helping us understand this disturbing history. When we return, we'll examine the current situation in Antarctica and what may be happening there right now. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us.
The fossil fuels of yesterday can't power the world of tomorrow. At Borgine Corporation, we aren't just looking to the future, we're creating it, under the visionary leadership of Dr. Edward Kirk. Our third energy initiative promises limitless, clean power for the new millennium. Imagine a world where energy is abundant, renewable, and drawn from the very fabric of time itself. Borgine Corporation is making that world a reality, bringing the power of the past back to life. For investment opportunities and partnership inquiries, contact Borgine Corporation, Republic of Borgia.
All right, folks, welcome back. Tonight we're discussing something that dropped into the public domain 48 hours ago. Before investigative reporter Vance died on Rockfort Island, he uploaded the contents of a classified Umbrella terminal directly to the open network, not to his news station, to everyone. He wanted this information where Umbrella couldn't suppress it. What he transmitted is being called the Code Veronica files, research logs, experiment reports, the entire history of a project that makes Raccoon City look like a dress rehearsal. My guest tonight has spent the last 2 days reviewing those files. Dr. James Langford is a geneticist and bioethics historian who's been studying the intersection of eugenics and corporate science for 2 decades. Dr. Langford, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I've been going through Vance's transmission with a team of colleagues, verifying what we can against public records, cross-referencing dates, and I'll be honest with you, what we're finding keeps me up at night.
So let's start at the beginning. Code Veronica, based on the files Vance transmitted. What exactly was this project?
Code Veronica was initiated by Alexander Ashford in 1969. The stated goal was to artificially engineer a human genius, not through education or environment, but through direct genetic manipulation. Alexander believed that intelligence was primarily hereditary, and that by isolating and amplifying specific genetic markers, he could create a child who would surpass any naturally born human.
And he used his own ancestor as the template.
Veronica Ashford, the first Countess. She lived in the 18th century and was legendary within the family for her brilliance. Alexander somehow obtained her preserved remains and extracted viable genetic material. Keep in mind, this was 1969. The techniques he was using were decades ahead of what mainstream science considered possible.
How is that even possible? We could barely sequence DNA in 1969.
That's what makes the Ashford research so troubling. The files Vance transmitted include Edward Ashford's original research notes from 1967. He was documenting something called the progenitor virus, a compound he and Oswald Spencer discovered in West Africa. The notes describe it as a naturally occurring mutagen with extraordinary properties.
What kind of properties?
According to Edward's documentation, the progenitor virus could fundamentally rewrite genetic code, not just damage it like radiation, rewrite it. In controlled conditions, it could be used to activate dormant genes, suppress undesirable traits, even splice in genetic material from other organisms. This was decades ahead of anything the mainstream scientific community was doing.
So this wasn't conventional genetic engineering?
Not even close. The files show that Edward Ashford saw the progenitor virus as a shortcut around the limitations of 1960s technology. When he died, his son Alexander inherited those research notes. And based on Vance's documentation, Alexander realized he could use the virus as a tool for the Code Veronica project. He wasn't just manipulating genes through laboratory techniques. He was using a viral agent to do the work for him.
He was using a virus to engineer his own children.
That's exactly what the experiment logs describe. Alexander combined his ancestors' preserved genetic material with progenitor-derived compounds to create embryos with specific traits. The virus acted as a delivery mechanism, rewriting the genetic code in ways that would have been impossible otherwise. It's brilliant in a horrifying way, and it explains how a researcher of Alexander's limited abilities could achieve results that should have been beyond him.
So he takes DNA from a 200-year-old corpse, combines it with God knows what, and implants it into a surrogate. And the result is twins.
Alfred and Alexia, born in 1971. From Alexander's perspective, Alfred was a disappointment. Above average intelligence, but nothing extraordinary. Alexia, however, exceeded all expectations. Her cognitive development was off the charts. She was reading at 3, conducting chemical experiments at 6. By 10, she had completed a university degree in biochemistry.
That's wild. I mean, that's actually wild. A 10-year-old with a college degree.
And not just any degree. She was immediately appointed as a chief researcher at one of Umbrella's laboratories. At 11 years old, she was running experiments that adult scientists couldn't replicate. The academic community was baffled. Here was a child who seemed to understand virology and genetics at a level that took most people decades to achieve.
Okay, but back up. How do we actually know this isn't exaggerated? How do we know she was really this smart?
Because of what she produced. The T. Veronica virus isn't like anything else Umbrella developed. The T virus, the G virus, they're crude by comparison. They transform hosts into mindless, aggressive carriers. Alexia's creation was designed to preserve intelligence while granting enhanced physical capabilities. That's an infinitely more complex engineering challenge. And she solved it before she turned 13.
So she created a better virus, one that doesn't just turn people into monsters.
It turns them into something far more dangerous. Intelligent monsters, beings that can think strategically while possessing abilities no human should have. The technical documentation we've obtained suggests the virus grants pyrokinetic capabilities, the ability to generate and control fire through biochemical processes. It sounds like science fiction, but the evidence is there.
And this 12-year-old figured all this out.
That's the horrifying part. Alexia wasn't just intelligent. She was brilliant in a way that transcends normal human cognition. But intelligence without empathy is sociopathy with better tools. And Alexia, from what we can tell, never developed any capacity for human connection beyond her brother.
That's chilling. So you've got this genius child, no empathy, unlimited resources, and a family that treated her like a messiah. What happened when she found out she was a laboratory creation?
According to Alfred's journals, the twins discovered the truth of their origins in early 1983. They learned that Alexander had created them specifically to restore the family's reputation, that they weren't children to him. They were experiments, investments.
And that's when things went wrong.
Within weeks of discovering their origins, the twins used Alexander as the first test subject for the T. Veronica virus. The experiment failed catastrophically. He mutated into something monstrous, a howling, toxic creature that had to be imprisoned deep beneath the Antarctic facility. The twins reported that both their parents had died in accidents. No one questioned it.
They killed their own father at 12 years old.
And they didn't just kill him, they used him. The failure with Alexander taught Alexia that the virus needed time to adapt to its host. Rapid infection destroyed the subject's cognitive functions. But slow integration, over years, might allow the virus to bond perfectly with the host while preserving intelligence.
And that's why she disappeared.
Alexia calculated that she needed 15 years of cryogenic stasis for the virus to fully bond with her cellular structure. So in late 1983, she injected herself with the T. Veronica virus and entered a cryogenic sleep chamber. Alfred reported her death. He took command of Rockfort Island, and for 15 years, he's been guarding his sister's tomb while she undergoes the most ambitious self-transformation in human history.
Wait, you're saying she's not dead?
I'm saying the timeline aligns too perfectly. 1983 to 1998 is exactly 15 years. If Alexia's calculations were correct, and given her track record they probably were, then her incubation period is ending right now. At the same moment Rockfort Island falls and her brother flees to Antarctica.
So Alfred is running to her? He's running to wake her up?
Or she's waking up on her own schedule, and he's running to be there when she does. Either way, what emerges from that cryogenic chamber won't be the 12-year-old who went to sleep. It'll be something that was designed from the beginning to be more than human, and I have no idea what that means for the rest of us.
Dr. Langford, this is terrifying. Thank you for walking us through it. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be back with more as this situation develops.
Need a little ADAM in your life? Tell your mommy to take you to the Gatherer's Garden. We've got all the vitamins you need to grow up big and strong. Mr. Bubbles says it's the best way to get ready for the future. Our special formula helps kids just like you become the best version of themselves. Look for the Gatherer's Garden kiosk at your local pharmacy. Available at over 50 locations nationwide. Parents, ask your pediatrician about a DAM supplementation today. The Gatherer's Garden. Growing stronger, together. Not recommended for children under 5. Consult your physician before starting any supplement program.
My father, Edward, discovered the mother virus in cooperation with Lord Spencer, who was also a nobleman. They studied it for the purpose of military use. Eventually their study took shape. They named a variation of the mother virus the T virus. To honor my father, I have decided to expand his research. I have established a massive facility here in Antarctica. I have also brought the specimen here secretly. The preservation was remarkable. After 2 centuries, the genetic material remained viable. I will build a room that looks exactly like the mansion my father left to me. I will use the room to hide the top secret data regarding the research. Spencer believes he has won. He believes the Ashford name will fade into obscurity. He is wrong. I will call the new virus the T. Veronica virus. named after the legendary matriarch of the Ashford family. Her genius was unmatched in her time. Her bloodline carried traits that science is only now beginning to understand. I will resurrect that genius in a form Spencer cannot ignore. I will implant this virus into a subject and observe its effects. The fertilization process has already begun. The surrogate is responding well. Initial cellular development suggests that genetic modifications have taken hold. She was exactly what I had been looking for. The revival of our great ancestor. I have already determined their names. The girl's name, Alexia. The boy's name, Alfred. Twins. One will surely carry forward the Ashford legacy. I'm certain that Alexia will elevate the name of the Ashford family to extreme glory. Spencer will be forced to acknowledge what we have accomplished. The world will remember who built this corporation, Alexander Ashford.
This is Mac, heavy equipment operator, Umbrella Antarctic Transport Terminal. If anyone's receiving the signal, we've got a containment breach, multiple levels. I'm locked in the B2 security room, and I can see everything on the monitors. A cargo plane crashed into the surface facility 2 hours ago. C-130 from Rockfort Island. I watched the survivors stumble out of the wreckage on the hangar cameras. They weren't walking right, jerking, lurching. Their faces looked gray even through the static. Security tried to contain them near the heliport entrance. I watched Lieutenant Harris empty a full magazine into one. It took 8 rounds to the chest and kept coming. Then it grabbed him and bit into his shoulder. 3 minutes later, Harris was back on his feet. Moving the same way they do, the facility went into automatic lockdown. Blast doors sealed throughout. The security grid showing red on every level except this one. I managed to grab a handgun and a few boxes of ammo before the doors came down. Found some first aid supplies in the emergency cabinet. This place is 6 levels deep, built into an old mine shaft. Every floor needs different key cards or emblems to access. I've been here 8 years and I still don't have clearance for B4 or below. Management said it was administrative space. I don't think anyone actually believed that. The monitors show the infected spreading through the workers' quarters now. They're breaking through barricaded doors like they're made of cardboard. I can see bodies in the corridors. Some of them are starting to move again. The count keeps rising. Temperature's dropping in here. Environmental controls must be failing. I can see my breath. If anyone receives this transmission, please send help. I can't hold this room forever. Sooner or later, something's gonna find a way in.
Spring is just around the corner, and Dan's Hardware has a massive blowout sale on all landscaping equipment. We've got rakes, mowers, and a brand new shipment of Scissor brand heavy-duty garden shears. These industrial-grade blades will cut through the toughest, thickest brush in your yard like a hot knife through butter. Priced at just $49.99, down from $79.99. That's $30 in savings. Come on down to Dan's Hardware on Route 27 before they're all gone. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Dan's Hardware, we've got the tools you need.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. We're following breaking developments from Antarctica tonight. Approximately 6 hours ago, the unauthorized C-130 cargo plane that departed Rockfort Island crashed into an umbrella facility near the South Pole. We didn't know this facility existed until Vance transmitted its coordinates before he died. Within the hour, we've redirected commercial weather satellites toward the location. What we can see is limited. The surface structure appears to be a transport terminal, cargo hangars, a helipad, but the satellite imagery shows significant structural damage from the plane impact, and there's been no communication from the facility since. Joining me once again is David Sterling. David, Vance's files mention this Antarctic location. What did his transmission tell us?
Vance's files reference coordinates south of the 82nd parallel, a place the Ashford family called the Antarctic Transport Terminal. According to construction permits I was able to pull from international records, the surface facility was built in 1969. But what caught my attention was the permit classification. Deep shaft mining operation.
Mining? In Antarctica?
That was my reaction. There's no commercial mining in Antarctica. International treaty prohibits it. But the permit predates those restrictions. My guess is the surface terminal is exactly that. A terminal. Whatever Umbrella was actually doing there is underground. And based on the depth listed in those permits, we're talking about something built into an existing mine shaft, possibly 6 or more levels deep.
David, I need to interrupt you. We're receiving a shortwave transmission. It started coming through about 40 minutes ago. The man identifies himself as Mac. He says he's a heavy equipment operator. He was on site for maintenance when the plane crashed.
Is the transmission live?
It's intermittent, heavy interference. But what he's describing, David, it matches exactly what Vance reported from Rockfort.
What's he saying?
He's trapped in a security room. Says he can see the entire facility through CCTV monitors. Mac describes watching infected personnel pour out of the crashed plane. He says one of the security guards, a Lieutenant Harris, took 8 rounds to the chest and kept coming. Mac watched him bite 3 people in the cargo bay before anyone understood what was happening.
That's the T-virus infection pattern. Raccoon City survivors described the same thing. The infected don't respond to conventional trauma. They just keep moving.
Mac says the facility went into automatic lockdown. Blast doors sealed. He managed to grab a sidearm and ammunition before the security room locked down around him. But here's what's disturbing. He's watching the infection spread level by level on the monitors. Says he can see people he knows, co-workers. He watched one of them get bitten on the 2nd level. 20 minutes later, that same person was walking again.
The reanimation window. That matches what the CDC documented from Raccoon City autopsy reports. Death, followed by motor function recovery within 15 to 30 minutes. No higher brain function, just the body moving on viral impulse.
Max says the temperature systems are failing. Whatever's powering the facility is compromised. He can't reach anyone else on the internal communications, just static on every channel.
That lockdown is designed to contain biohazard breaches. Umbrella built it to protect the outside world by sealing everyone inside. The workers aren't personnel to that system. They're contamination vectors.
Is there any chance of rescue?
Bill, we're talking about the most remote location on Earth. Winter conditions. No airstrip within 1,000 miles capable of receiving rescue aircraft. And even if there were, no government is going to send personnel into an active T-virus outbreak zone. Not after Raccoon City. Mac is completely alone down there.
He knows that too. In his last transmission, Mac said he's going to keep broadcasting as long as he can. He wants someone to know what's happening, even if no one can help.
Then we listen. Whatever's buried in that facility, whatever Umbrella was hiding at the bottom of the world, Mac is our only window into it now, and he's watching it collapse in real time.
David Sterling, thank you. We'll continue monitoring Mac's transmissions as long as they last. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us.
every child deserves a safe place to hide. The Granite Orphanage in Norway provides shelter and education for young girls who have nowhere else to go, but we rely on your generous donations to keep our doors open. Please, sponsor a child like young Jennifer today. Give them a future, so they don't have to keep running from the past. Your monthly contribution of just $25 can provide food, clothing, and educational materials for a child in need. To donate, call 800-555-GRANITE or visit graniteorphanage.org. The Granite Orphanage, because every child deserves a chance.
January 30th. There's a sealed room in the hallway located inside of the Antarctic facility. I've passed it 100 times without knowing what lay behind that door. The locks are old, ornate. They require 3 jewels to open, 1 from each legitimate Ashford. I don't know what is hidden there, but I do know how to get in. I can use the 3 jewels that each of our 3 members wear as proof of being a legitimate descendant of the Ashford family. My jewel and father's. The only problem is, I don't know how I can get my hands on my father's proof. He hasn't been seen in years. Mother says he's traveling. Alexia says he's working on something important. But I wonder sometimes if they're telling me everything. It doesn't matter. I will find a way into that room. The Ashford family has always prized its secrets. Whatever lies behind that door belongs to me as much as anyone. I am the 7th Earl. I have a right to know. Alexia will help me. She always does. Together we will uncover whatever father has been hiding. Together we will restore the Ashford name to its rightful glory. We are twins. We are inseparable. Nothing can come between us.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. We have significant new developments from the Antarctic crisis tonight. International defense agencies have confirmed that a military aircraft, specifically a Harrier jump jet, has been tracked flying toward the South Pole. The aircraft was reported stolen from a U.S. military installation earlier today. At the same time, we've received a second transmission from Mac, the heavy equipment operator trapped inside the Antarctic transport terminal. He reports that an armed tactical operator has entered the facility from the surface heliport. Someone is mounting what appears to be a rescue mission. Joining me once again is Marcus Thorne, our tactical security analyst. Marcus, what do we make of this?
The Harrier is a vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. It doesn't need a runway. It can set down on a helipad, a clearing, even a flat stretch of ice. That makes it perfect for reaching a location like the Antarctic facility where conventional aircraft can't land.
And someone stole one specifically for this mission.
Whoever this is, they're extremely well trained and highly motivated. Stealing a military aircraft from a secure installation requires specific knowledge of base security procedures, flight clearance systems, and combat aircraft operation. This isn't an amateur. This is someone with special operations background.
Mac describes watching this operator on the CCTV feeds. He says the man moves with military precision, clearing rooms, checking corners. Does that tell us anything about who we're dealing with?
Room clearing techniques are taught in Special Forces training, SEAL teams, Delta Force, elite police tactical units, but given the context, the umbrella connection, the timing immediately after Rockfort Island, my best assessment is that this is one of the surviving Starts operators from the Arklay Mountains incident.
Starts. The Raccoon City Special Tactics Unit that survived the Spencer Mansion.
Exactly. Chris Redfield is one of the Starts survivors who went underground after Raccoon City. His sister Claire was captured by Umbrella in Paris and reportedly transported to Rockfort Island. If Chris learned of her location and tracked her to Antarctica, he would have every motivation to mount a solo extraction.
A brother going after his sister.
That would explain the desperation of the mission. Stealing military hardware, flying into an active biohazard zone, operating alone without support or extraction. This isn't a sanctioned operation. This is personal.
Marcus, Mac also mentions something disturbing, a creature he calls Nosferatu. He says it broke free from a detention area deep beneath the facility. A skeletal, howling thing that workers claimed was locked in the lower levels for over a decade.
Based on what we know about the Ashford family timeline, if something has been imprisoned beneath that facility since approximately 1983, we may be looking at Alexander Ashford himself, or what's left of him.
Alexander, the twins' father, the first test subject for the T. Veronica virus.
The experiment failed catastrophically. Rapid mutation, severe brain damage, the generation of toxic compounds from the host body. If the twins couldn't kill their father outright, they may have imprisoned him instead, left him to rot in the darkness for 15 years.
And now he's loose?
Whatever containment was holding him would have been compromised when the facility lost power or when the outbreak spread to the lower levels. If our operator is navigating through that facility, he's not just dealing with standard infected personnel, he's potentially facing a BOW that's been mutating and growing in isolation for over a decade.
Marcus, what are this operator's chances? Alone in a 6-level facility filled with infected personnel and biological weapons. No backup, no extraction plan.
If he's truly starts trained, he's already survived impossible situations. The Spencer Mansion, the Raccoon City outbreak. He knows what he's facing. He understands the biology of the infected, and he has something most operators don't have, a reason to keep fighting no matter the cost.
His sister.
Exactly. Personal motivation changes everything in combat situations. Soldiers fight harder when they're protecting someone they love. If Claire Redfield is somewhere in that facility, her brother isn't going to stop until he finds her.
Marcus Thorne, thank you. We'll continue monitoring Mac's transmissions and tracking developments from the Antarctic facility. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us.
Looking to get off the beaten path? Discover the Republic of Borgia, a tropical paradise untouched by modern civilization. Explore deep, ancient jungles where you'll feel like you've stepped back in time. Millions of years. Visit pristine beaches, experience local culture, and witness wildlife you won't find anywhere else on Earth. But remember to stay with your tour guide. The local wildlife has quite an appetite. Book your flight today through Borgia National Airways. Call 800, visit Borgia, the Republic of Borgia, an experience that'll change your life.
This is Mac again, Antarctic Transport Terminal. I've been watching these monitors so long my eyes are burning. The infected have spread to every level above me, but something else happened that I've got to report. Something broke out of the deep levels. B4, the restricted area they told us was just storage. The camera caught it climbing out of what looked like a prison cell, a skeletal thing. Gray skin stretched so tight over the bones you could see every rib. Shackles still hanging from its wrists. The workers had a name for it, Nosferatu. They said it was locked up down there for over 10 years, that you could hear it howling through the ventilation shafts at night. I thought it was just stories they told to scare the new guys. I was wrong. There's a replica mansion on B4. Victorian architecture built into the ice. A main hall with a grand staircase that looks like something out of a Gothic novel. I don't understand why anyone would build something like that underground. But the creature tore through it like it knew every room. Here's the thing, though. Before the heliport camera went dark, I saw someone arrive. A man in tactical gear, moving like military, checking corners, clearing rooms one at a time. He wasn't panicking like the rest of us. I did 4 years in the service before Umbrella hired me. I know what Special Forces training looks like. This guy was picking up weapons and ammunition from fallen guards, checking item boxes near the doorways, rationing his supplies. He knows what he's doing. I tried to reach him on the intercom. Most of the system's down, but I got through on B2 for a few seconds. Told him I could see the facility layout. Told him I could guide him past the locked doors if he could find the right key cards. I don't know if he heard me. If anyone's receiving this, there's a trained operator inside the facility. He might be everyone's only chance. I'm gonna help him any way I can. Even if it's just watching the monitors and hoping he finds a way through.
We're going to take you live now to the federal courthouse in Washington, where the umbrella trial has just entered what legal observers are calling the most damaging hour of testimony since proceedings began. The prosecution has granted full federal immunity to an anonymous contractor from Umbrella's private military division, the Biohazard Countermeasure Service. He was deployed to Raccoon City during the September outbreak. His identity is being withheld for his safety. We go now to the courtroom audio feed.
Sir, I'd like you to tell the court, in your own words, what you were told your mission was when your platoon received its deployment orders for Raccoon City.
Civilian rescue and extraction. That's what they told us in the briefing. Get in, secure evacuation corridors for the remaining population, and hold defensive positions until the National Guard arrive.
And was that what happened when your unit hit the ground?
No, sir. They dropped us right into the worst of it. I'm talking the densest infestation zones in the city, places where no civilian was still alive. They knew that before we loaded onto the helicopters.
How do you know they knew?
Because every man in my unit was wearing a biometric harness under his vest. Heart rate, blood pressure, adrenal output, GPS location accurate to 3 feet. They weren't tracking us for rescue coordination. They were collecting combat data.
Combat data on what, specifically?
On how fast their weapons killed us. The hunters, the tyrant units. Umbrella wanted to know how well their products performed against trained, heavily armed military personnel in a live combat environment. We were the test, not the testers.
Were you aware at the time of deployment that these creatures existed?
We were told there was a chemical spill, and that some of the local population might be violent. Nobody said anything about 8-foot-tall reptiles that could punch through an armored vehicle. We found that out ourselves about 40 minutes in.
And what happened to the biometric data your unit was transmitting?
It was feeding live to a monitoring station outside the quarantine perimeter. One of the other survivors found the uplink logs on a dead officer's laptop. Every time one of us went down, the file tagged the kill with a species code and a response time, like a product review.
How many men were in your platoon when you deployed?
32.
And how many made it out of Raccoon City?
4.
No further questions at this time. Your Honor.
The defense may cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, you testified just now that Umbrella deliberately deployed you into hostile territory as some kind of, a live fire product demonstration?
That's correct.
Let's talk about your immunity agreement. Isn't it true that before you were granted immunity by this court, you were facing 14 federal counts, including 2 charges of arms trafficking?
That's in the filing, yeah.
14 counts, all dropped in exchange for this testimony. That's a pretty good deal, wouldn't you say?
Objection. Counsel is testifying, not asking a question.
Sustained. Rephrase, Counselor.
You mentioned a laptop belonging to a dead officer, the one with the species codes and kill data. Can you tell the court where that laptop is now?
It was destroyed when the city was leveled.
So the physical evidence supporting your primary claim, the species codes, the response times, the so-called product reviews, all of that was vaporized along with everything else in Raccoon City. Is that correct?
The laptop's gone? Yes. What I saw on it isn't.
Did CEO Oswald Spencer personally issue your deployment orders?
I don't know who signed off at the top.
You don't know, so you can't tell this court whether your orders came from the Umbrella Board or from Dr. William Birkin's laboratory, which we've already established was operating outside of corporate oversight.
My orders came through the UBCS command structure. The company owned that structure. That's a fact.
I'd like to remind the court that Umbrella Pharmaceuticals deployed the Biohazard Countermeasure Service to Raccoon City for one reason: to save American lives. The mission was compromised by the rogue actions of Dr. Birkin, a man who sabotaged containment to protect his own illegal research.
Objection, Your Honor. Defense counsel is delivering a closing argument during cross-examination.
Sustained. You'll have your opportunity for closing remarks, Counselor. Confine yourself to questions.
Withdrawn. One final question. Is it possible, sir, that what you interpreted as a deliberate corporate weapons test was actually a chaotic emergency deployment into a disaster zone that no one fully understood, including your superiors?
If that were true, why were we wearing the harnesses?
The witness will answer the question as asked.
No, it isn't possible. You don't strap 32 men into biometric monitoring equipment and drop them into a kill zone by accident.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
That was the live courtroom feed from the federal umbrella trial in Washington. The defense fought hard on that last exchange, but the damage from this morning's session is already showing in the markets. Umbrella Pharmaceuticals dropped another 15% in after-hours trading within minutes of the testimony. That brings total losses this quarter to over 60% of the company's pre-Raccoon valuation. Umbrella's legal team now faces a jury that watched their witness hold his ground under every line of attack. And that same jury just heard a man describe 28 of his friends being sent to die so a corporation could grade its own weapons.
Tired of the same old you? Is hitting the gym just not cutting it? Evolve today with Fontaine Futuristics. We're pioneering the cutting edge of gene therapy right here in 1998. Why just heal when you can rewrite your genetic code? Our revolutionary plasmid trials are showing incredible results. Increased strength, enhanced reflexes, even abilities you never thought possible. Ask your doctor about our new plasmid trials today. Side effects may include tissue rejection, severe addiction, and personality changes. Call 800-555-EVOLVE for more information. Fontaine Futuristics. Better living through genetics.
February 17th. I finally succeeded in entering that sealed room. I found Father's jewel in his private study. Combined with mine and Alexia's, the locks opened easily. I never could have imagined what waited inside. I never could have imagined that such an insane secret existed regarding my birth and Alexia's. Documents, research files, genetic sequencing data. All of it describing the Code Veronica project in clinical, sickening detail. We are not children. We are specimens, engineered in a laboratory using genetic material extracted from a corpse. Our ancestors' DNA spliced and modified to create artificial humans capable of restoring the family's scientific reputation. I hate my father. That fool, Alexander. Now it is obvious that we were merely created in an attempt to cover his own blunder. He couldn't match the brilliance of Spencer's researchers, so he manufactured us to do it for him. And I was the failure. The documents make it clear. My intelligence was adequate but not exceptional. I was the byproduct. The accident. Alexia was the success. Alexia was always the only one who mattered. I can never trust him again. I can never look at Father the same way. Every memory of childhood, every moment I thought he loved me, it was all observation, data collection, measuring whether his experiment was performing adequately. I must regain the glory of the Ashford family with my sister. Not because Father wanted it, but because we deserve it, because we are more than his pathetic ambitions. I have nothing to fear, as long as Alexia is with me. Together we will make him pay for what he did.
is Mac. I'm broadcasting on open frequencies now. Trying to reach anyone who can hear this. The shortwave to the news station keeps cutting out, but I'm going to keep transmitting what I see. Someone needs to know what's happening down here. Camera 23 just came online. Big ceremonial hall. Looks like something out of a medieval castle. There's someone strapped to a chair in the center of the room. Young guy, 17 maybe, blonde hair, leather jacket. He's alone. Wait, door's opening. Woman in a red jacket. Early 20s. She's running toward the kid, trying to get him loose. He's saying something to her. Audio's picking it up. He's telling her to stay back. Called her Claire. Something's wrong with him. His body's starting to shake. Violent. Like he's having a seizure. The woman's backing away. He's screaming. Not pain. Rage. His skin's turning gray. Veins bulging through his neck and face. Jesus Christ. His body's growing. The shackles are breaking. Metal snapping like twigs. His arms are getting longer. Muscles tearing through the jacket. Skin turning green. Scales, bone spikes pushing through his shoulders and back. He's not human anymore. 7 feet tall. Reptilian. Face is elongated. Eyes glowing yellow. Claws where his fingers used to be. He's grabbing something. There's a massive axe mounted on the wall. Executioner's axe. He's ripping it down. The woman's running. She made it through the door. Switching to camera 25. Hallway. Long corridor. She's sprinting. That thing is right behind her. Swinging that axe. It's hitting the walls. Chunks of concrete flying everywhere. She's through the gate at the end of the hall. Metal gate slammed shut behind her. The creature's on the other side, beating on the bars. Wait, something's coming through the wall next to her. One of those organic tendrils. Massive. Wrapped around her. It's crushing her. Pulling her toward the wall. The creature's still holding that axe. He's raising it. Looking at her. Then he turns. He's attacking the tentacle. Hacking into it. Tearing it apart. He freed her. The tentacle's pulling back. But it's striking him. Impaled him straight through the chest. He's down. The woman's crawling toward him. His body's changing again. Shrinking. Turning back to human. She's holding him. He's saying something. Can't make out the words from here. Then he stops moving. She's not letting go. Just kneeling there with the body. Camera feed's degrading. Signal's breaking up. If anyone from the news station is hearing this, there's people down here trying to survive. There's something hunting them that controls the facility itself. And whatever that virus does, it doesn't just kill you. It turns you into something that kills everyone you're trying to protect.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. Mac's latest transmission describes something we haven't seen before. A young prisoner underwent a transformation inside the Antarctic facility. The mutation doesn't match anything from Raccoon City. Joining me tonight is Dr. Elena Rostova. Doctor, Mac watched this boy transform from human to something reptilian in under 5 minutes. 7 feet tall, green scales, claws. But here's what's different. The creature recognized Claire Redfield, attacked her, then stopped mid-strike and protected her from something else.
That's not Vera's behavior. Standard infected have no higher cognition. They bite. They spread the infection. They don't recognize people. They don't make choices. What Mac describes suggests retained neural function during mutation.
You've been analyzing leaked research files from the Antarctic facility, files that were extracted before the outbreak. Is there another virus?
To Veronica, a hybrid strain designed to preserve intelligence while granting enhanced physical capabilities. The research shows it incorporates genetic material from queen ants and specific plant species. The problem is incubation time. Rapid infection causes the same cognitive destruction as standard T virus. That boy likely died with enough awareness to recognize someone he cared about, but not enough control to stop the transformation.
Mac also reported organic growth throughout the facility, tendrils that grab Claire Redfield, structures that respond to stimuli.
The plant DNA component allows infected tissue to bond with surrounding materials. In a properly adapted host, someone who survived the full incubation period, this creates environmental control, the ability to weaponize the space around them.
The leaked files. Do they mention anyone who completed that incubation?
Alexia Ashford infected herself in 1983, entered cryogenic sleep, calculated 15 years for full viral integration. If she woke up this year, she'd be the first successful adaptation.
Glaciologists detected extreme heat signatures from the facility's lowest level 3 hours ago. Mac's transmission mentioned fire coming from a humanoid figure on B6.
The research describes pyrokinetic capabilities in fully adapted hosts, combustible blood compounds, voluntary ignition through metabolic control. If that heat signature is Alexia Ashford, the entire facility's structural integrity is compromised. Ice melt, support failures, collapse is inevitable.
Mac's also reporting standard zombies on the upper levels, regular T-virus casualties. If anyone escapes that facility...
The CDC has quarantine protocols. 72-hour observation, blood screening. Anyone evacuated from an outbreak zone can't contact the general population until they're cleared. The virus doesn't survive well in extreme cold, but we can't take chances.
And if Alexia Ashford herself tries to leave?
Then containment becomes an international crisis. A weaponized intelligence with retained human cognition and those capabilities. Raccoon City was a plague. This would be war.
Dr. Elena Rostova, thank you. We're continuing to monitor Mac's transmissions. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us.
For the discerning collector, the Roivas estate in Rhode Island is holding an exclusive, invitation-only auction this Sunday. Bidding will feature rare, historical tomes bound in unconventional leathers, ancient bone artifacts, and colonial-era weaponry. Items date from the 15th century through the Victorian period. Expand your collection with history that defies sanity. Minimum bid starts at $5,000. RSVP required. Contact the Roivas Estate Curator at 401-555 Roivas, the Roivas Antiquities Auction. Sunday, June 20th, 3 p.m. Some knowledge was never meant to be forgotten.
This is Mac broadcasting on all open frequencies. I don't know if the news station's still picking this up, but I'm going to keep transmitting. What's happening on the lowest level needs to be documented. Someone needs to see this. Camera 42 came online. B6, deepest level. There's a woman standing in what looks like a laboratory. She's on fire. No, the fire's coming from her. Her body's generating it. She's not burning. She's the source. Those organic growths spreading through the facility. The tendrils, they're part of her. Extensions of her body. She's controlling them like extra limbs. This whole time I thought it was separate contamination. It's all her. The guy in tactical gear just reached B6. Same one I've been seeing on the feeds. He's carrying some kind of experimental weapon. Looks like an energy rifle. Equipment manifest calls it a linear launcher. He's aiming at her. She's sending those tendrils at him. He's firing, blowing chunks out of her, but they just regrow. She's changing. Her back's splitting open. Wings, insect wings pushing through the skin. She's in the air now, moving too fast for the camera to track properly. Wait, someone else just entered the frame. Man in a black coat, wearing sunglasses in a basement. He's walking through the infected like they're not even there. They're not attacking him. They're avoiding him. The two men are facing each other. The way they're standing, they know each other. This isn't random. There's history here. Jesus. The guy in black just moved. Crossed 10 feet in under a second. Grabbed the other guy by the throat. Lifted him off the ground with one hand. then threw him through a concrete support pillar like he weighs nothing. He's back on his feet, bleeding from the head but still moving. They're fighting hand to hand. The guy in tactical gear is trained. You can see it in how he moves. But the other one's not human. The speed, the strength, every hit should be fatal, but the first guy's still standing. Facility's shaking. Structural alarms going off on every level. The guy in black just walked away, middle of the fight, just left. The other guy's heading for the surface. The woman's back in her chamber. Temperature sensors are spiking. Heat readings are off the scale. If anyone's receiving this transmission, there's more than one hostile force down here. There's someone in this facility with superhuman abilities. He walked through everything like it was nothing. Got what he came for and left. And I don't think he's working for anyone but himself.
After discovering the remains of an ancient virus within the genes of a queen ant, I have been concentrating my studies on the development of this pathogen. The retrovirus is remarkable. It has persisted for millions of years within the Hymenopteran genome, waiting to be understood. I found that by manipulating the chemical makeup of the queen ant's genes, I was able to create a virus capable of strengthening its host infinitely. The queen ant can live for decades, an eternity by insect standards. She dominates her colony absolutely. Every worker and soldier exists only to serve her survival. This biological hierarchy is perfect. No dissent, no rebellion. Every member of the colony fulfills its role without question. The queen's pheromones control behavior at a genetic level. Free will is eliminated at the molecular stage. By incorporating the queen ant retrovirus with the base progenitor compound and stabilizing the sequence with plant DNA, I have succeeded in creating the ideal virus. The T. Veronica strain grants the host enhanced physical capabilities while preserving cognitive function. Intelligence remains intact. The host becomes more than human. However, this virus, for its host, will have a slow reaction time. Rapid infection destroys the subject's mind before the adaptation can complete. I learned this from my father's failure. He was useful as a test subject, nothing more. After careful consideration, I have decided to use the virus on myself. I will inject a small amount and enter cryogenic stasis. The code will slow the viral progression. My cells will adapt gradually over time. I have calculated that approximately 15 years will be required for the virus to settle into my body without causing rejection. When I awaken, I will be the first true queen. Humanity will serve beneath me as the drones they were always meant to be. My brother Alfred is an inept soldier, but he is loyal. He will guard my chamber until I rise. The name of the virus is T. Veronica. It is my legacy.
This is Mac. Antarctic Transport Terminal. Final transmission. The self-destruct sequence is active. I can hear the automated countdown through the walls. 15 minutes and dropping. The CCTV feeds are gone. Power's been rerouted to critical systems, emergency lighting, the detonation grid. I can't see what's happening anymore. Just empty static on every monitor. I used my last clip 20 minutes ago on something that broke through the access door. Still have the combat knife. Still have one green herb I was saving. Doesn't matter now. Nothing in this room is going to save me from what's coming. The floor's shaking. Explosions somewhere in the lower levels. That organic growth spreading through the facility must be reacting to the detonation charges. The whole structure is tearing itself apart. I'm not scared. Thought I would be, but I'm not. I'm glad this place is going to burn. Whatever they built down here, whatever they kept frozen for 15 years, nobody should ever find it. Nobody should ever know. If anyone receives this, I need you to do something for me. My wife's name is Sarah. Sarah McKinnon. Portland, Oregon. Tell her I was thinking about her at the end. Tell her I did everything I could. Countdown just hit 5 minutes. Room's getting hot. I can feel the heat coming through the floor. Whatever that linear launcher is, it's gonna wipe everything clean. This is Mac, heavy equipment operator, Umbrella Corporation, signing off. God help anyone who finds this place.
Need extra cash for the holidays? The Mobius organization is seeking healthy adults aged 18 to 40 for a paid, short-term neurological connectivity study. The STEM initiative explores how human minds can share a single, collective space. Volunteers are compensated up to $500 a week for minimal time commitment. All sessions are supervised by licensed medical professionals. Mobius is not responsible for loss of identity, shared nightmares, or spontaneous cerebral hemorrhage. To apply, visit the Mobius Research Center on Gatwick Avenue or call 800-555-MOBIUS. Connecting minds for a better tomorrow.
Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. Seismographs worldwide have registered a massive explosion in Antarctica. The blast occurred approximately 20 minutes ago. Initial reports from multiple geological monitoring stations placed the epicenter directly beneath Umbrella's Antarctic transport terminal. Before we lost contact, Mac transmitted a final message. He reported hearing an automated countdown sequence, self-destruct. 15 minutes, that was the last we heard from him. Mac is presumed dead in the detonation. Umbrella Pharmaceuticals issued a press release within the hour. They're claiming a nuclear reactor failure, calling it a tragic accident, expressing condolences for lost personnel. Joining me now is Marcus Thorne, who's been analyzing the seismic data and satellite imagery. Marcus, reactor failure?
Umbrella's lying. The seismic signature doesn't match any known reactor design. I've pulled data from every nuclear facility incident in the last 50 years. Chernobyl, 3 Mile Island, Fukushima, none of them produced this pattern. This was intentional detonation.
Mac said self-destruct. Are you saying the facility destroyed itself?
The facility was equipped with a weapon system called a linear launcher. I found references to it in leaked Umbrella engineering documents. It's an experimental directed energy device capable of generating a thermobaric blast equivalent to a tactical nuclear warhead, designed to sterilize a compromised bioweapons facility without traditional radioactive fallout.
Someone activated it deliberately.
Standard containment protocol. When a T-virus outbreak becomes uncontrollable, when there's risk of global contamination, Umbrella built in a final solution. Burn everything. Leave nothing that can spread.
The zombies. Mac reported infected workers throughout the facility, standard T-virus casualties. If the facility hadn't been destroyed, could they have escaped into the Antarctic environment?
The Time virus doesn't survive well in extreme cold. But there are research stations scattered across Antarctica, scientific outposts, weather monitoring facilities. If infected personnel reached one of those locations before freezing, they could spread the virus to populations with no immunity and no preparation.
The linear launcher prevented that.
It did. The heat from the detonation would have incinerated any biological matter within a 2-kilometer radius. Zombies, infected tissue, viral samples, everything organic is gone.
Satellite tracking shows a Harrier jump jet departing the facility approximately 5 minutes before the explosion. The aircraft was heading north, away from the blast zone.
Infrared imaging from weather satellites confirms 2 heat signatures in the cockpit, the pilot and 1 passenger. Based on the timeline, the operator we believe is Chris Redfield had enough time to locate his sister, reach the surface, and escape before detonation.
If they were exposed to infected personnel inside the facility, if they came into contact with zombie victims or contaminated blood, they could be carrying the virus.
The CDC has issued quarantine protocols for anyone evacuated from the Antarctic facility. 72-hour observation period, blood screening, physical examination for bite wounds or viral symptoms. If Chris and Claire Redfield reach civilization, they'll need to submit to those protocols before contact with the general population.
And Alexia Ashford, the heat signature MAC reported from level B6?
Satellite thermal imaging shows its signature terminated at the moment of detonation. Whatever she'd become, the linear launcher was designed to eliminate exactly that kind of threat. The blast temperature exceeded anything biological tissue can withstand. She's dead.
The Antarctic facility is destroyed. The T-virus contamination contained, Alexia Ashford eliminated. But the data that was stolen from Rockfort Island, the Veronica research files extracted by the paramilitary force, those are still out there.
The physical samples are gone. But the data, the genetic sequences, the research methodologies, whoever funded that heist now has everything they need to continue Alexia's work. They can recreate Veronica anywhere. Underground labs, foreign governments, private biotech companies.
So the immediate threat is contained, but the long-term threat
has metastasized. The Ashford family is gone. Their facilities are destroyed, but their science survived. And now it's in the hands of people we can't identify, operating from locations we can't track, with resources we can't measure.
Marcus Thorne, thank you. We'll continue monitoring for any further developments. To the families of Vance and Mac, 2 people who gave their lives documenting this crisis, you have our deepest condolences. I'm Bill Carter. Stay with us.
Everyone's looking at Umbrella. Everyone's looking at the executives in suits. You're looking at the wrong puppets. You think a pharmaceutical CEO invented the idea of biological domination? You think Oswald Spencer woke up one morning and decided to turn people into gods? No. These aristocrats didn't invent anything. They copied it. They stole it from a power structure that's been running this game for centuries, and the people they stole it from, they're still out there, still operating, waiting for Umbrella to fall so they can step out of the shadows. Listen to me. The Ashford family, Edward Ashford, Oswald Spencer, what were they? European nobility, earls and lords playing with viruses in the 1960s? But here's what they don't tell you. There are castles across the Atlantic older than the colonies where they don't use stock options to control people. They use sacraments. They use ancient bloodlines. They dig up things that should have stayed buried, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years. There's a man sitting on a very old throne right now, watching Umbrella burn. And he's laughing because he doesn't need a boardroom to take over the world. He doesn't need quarterly earnings reports and pharmaceutical patents. He just needs to slip his Holy Communion into the right politician's glass. One prayer, one sip, one infected host in the highest corridors of power, and it's over. You think I'm making this up? You think I'm being dramatic? Wake up. While America's distracted watching courtroom trials and corporate bankruptcies, there's a movement in the mountains of old Europe preparing the next phase. Not a virus that rots your brain, an organism, something living that rewrites your mind while you're fully conscious, makes you a believer, makes you kneel, makes you spread the gospel to everyone you trust. And here's the thing. Actually, hold on. You need to understand what I'm about to say. This isn't some third world warlord. This isn't some rogue scientist in a basement. This is organized religion weaponized. This is an order that's been operating for generations with enough influence to make governments look the other way. They've got believers embedded in high society. They've got eyes in the military. They're positioning themselves right now to get access to the people who control the free world. Watch the diplomatic channels. I'm serious. Watch them. Watch the protected class. Watch who goes missing from the inner circles of the superpower. Because if they want to control the empire, they won't attack the king directly. They'll take someone untouchable. They'll use an abduction as leverage. And when that person is finally rescued, if they're rescued, they won't be coming home alone. The documents are real. I have them. Intelligence intercepts from the mid-1990s showing unusual activity across isolated valleys over the Atlantic. Population shifts. Entire towns cutting off contact with the outside world. Missionary networks moving people and supplies that don't match up with any legitimate aid organization. Shipments of industrial equipment to places with no infrastructure. Construction materials going into old monasteries that should be abandoned ruins. And at the center of it all, a prophet. Not his real name. Never his real name. But they worship him like he holds the keys to heaven. Spencer and Ashford thought they were geniuses. Thought they'd figured out how to remake humanity. But they were students. Copycats. The real architects have been doing this since before science had a name for it. They don't call it a bioweapon. They call it enlightenment. They don't call it infection. They call it communion. And the people who take it, they don't think they're victims. They think they've been saved. So the next time someone tells you Umbrella was the problem and now it's over, the next time someone says we're safe because the corporation went bankrupt, you look them in the eye and you ask them one question. Who taught Spencer how to play God? Where did he learn that turning people into weapons was even possible? Because somebody taught him. Somebody showed him the blueprint. And that somebody is still out there, still teaching, still spreading the word. Wake up. Share this broadcast. Tell everyone you know to watch the international movements. Tell them to watch the missing persons reports for the global elite. Tell them that what happened in Raccoon City and Antarctica wasn't the end. It was the distraction. While you were watching the pharmaceutical executives fall, the real puppet masters were tightening their grip. And when they make their move, it won't be in a laboratory. It'll be in a cathedral. Do your own research. Find the pattern. And whatever you do, don't take communion from anyone you don't know.
Are you looking for that special place? A quiet retreat away from the noise of the city? Come to the Lakeview Hotel in beautiful Silent Hill, Maine. Enjoy gorgeous views of Toluca Lake, cozy accommodations, and a town steeped in history. In your restless dreams, you'll see that town. Make the dream a reality. Call your travel agent today, or write to us at P.O. Box 479, Silent Hill, Maine 03912. The Lakeview Hotel, where memories last forever.
Work continues on the T. Veronica virus, which I extracted from the Queen Ant. The more research I conduct on it, the more I am impressed by how much potential it has. The genetic stability is remarkable. The mutation rate is controllable. This is a virus that can be mastered, rather than simply unleashed. I have finally implanted the virus into my own body, and discovered how to utilize its power. The integration with my cellular structure is proceeding exactly as calculated. I can feel the changes beginning at the molecular level. It is not unpleasant. It is clarifying. I will avoid making the mistake that I made on my father. His transformation was instructive, but ultimately wasteful. The rapid onset destroyed his cognitive functions within hours. What remains of Alexander is barely capable of autonomous movement, let alone rational thought. He howls in the darkness like an animal. It is fitting. I will suppress the power of the virus until my body has been thoroughly adapted. The cryogenic chamber has been prepared. The monitoring systems will track my vital signs throughout the stasis period. Alfred will maintain the facility in my absence. He is not intelligent enough to advance the research, but he is devoted enough to protect it. It will require at least 15 years for my body to adjust to the virus. By my calculations, that places my awakening in late 1998. When I emerge, I will possess capabilities beyond any organism currently living on this planet. The ability to generate combustion from my own blood. The ability to extend my nervous system through organic material. The ability to dominate lesser creatures through pheromone emission. Spencer and his researchers believe the T-virus is the apex of biological weaponry. They are mistaken. The T-virus creates monsters. The T-Veronica virus creates queens. When I awaken, the distinction will become clear to everyone, including those who underestimated the Ashford family. I will sleep now, and in 15 years, the world will remember the name Veronica, not as a memory of the past, but as a warning for the future.
We're going live to federal court for what's being called the most volatile day of the Raccoon Trials. What began as a pursuit of justice has devolved into a bitter stalemate. Umbrella is now actively accusing the United States government of being a co-conspirator in the Raccoon City disaster. The witness is James Ford, a former computer technician at Dr. Birkin's underground laboratory. Despite having her memory altered during the Raccoon City outbreak, she's testifying with what prosecutors are calling chilling clarity.
Mr. Ford, you work directly under Dr. William Birkin at the underground P-12 laboratory. Can you describe the safety culture at that facility?
There wasn't one. The experimental nature of the T-virus research was common knowledge to everyone in the facility. We all knew what we were working on. We all knew the risks, and safety protocols were routinely ignored to meet production deadlines.
When you say common knowledge, are you referring to the researchers or the corporate board?
Both. Every quarterly report we sent upstairs included viral containment statistics, breach counts, infection rates among test subjects. The board knew exactly what Dr. Birkin was doing because they were funding it. They approved every budget increase, every equipment requisition, every shipment of live test subjects. I processed those approval forms myself, executive signatures, cost-benefit analyses, risk assessments that explicitly acknowledge the danger to Raccoon City's civilian population.
You're saying Umbrella's leadership knowingly placed an entire city at risk?
They calculated that risk and decided the potential profits were worth it. There were contingency plans for containment failures, evacuation protocols, emergency response procedures. But those protocols assumed we'd have days to respond. When Dr. Birkin was shot and the virus spread through the sewer system, we had hours.
Live test subjects. You're saying Umbrella's corporate leadership knew the company was conducting human experimentation?
They didn't just know, they authorized it. Every D-type subject, every prisoner transferred from Rockfort Island, every homeless person who disappeared from Raccoon City streets, those requisitions went through corporate approval channels. You can't run an operation that size without executive sign-off. The paperwork exists, or it did before the sterilization strike.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Your witness.
Your Honor, Mr. Ford's testimony is compelling, but I'd like to redirect this inquiry. Mr. Ford, you mentioned that Dr. Birkin sent quarterly reports. To whom specifically?
To Umbrella's executive board, and to his external clients.
External clients? Can you elaborate on that?
Dr. Birkin had ongoing negotiations with United States military contractors. He was trying to sell the G-virus research to the Pentagon. There were meetings, video conferences with men in uniform. I sat in on some of them as technical support.
So the United States military was aware of Dr. Birkin's biological weapons research and actively sought to purchase it. Is that correct?
That's what I understood. Yes. They wanted exclusive access to the G-virus. Dr. Birkin was negotiating terms, asylum, protection, a new identity. He knew what he was doing was illegal, and he wanted guarantees before turning over the research.
Your Honor, I'm not attacking this witness. I'm attacking the federal prosecutors sitting at that table. They want to paint Umbrella as a rogue corporation operating outside the law. But Mr. Ford just confirmed that the United States government was negotiating to purchase the very weapons they now claim to be horrified by.
Objection. Counsel is testifying.
I'm establishing motive, Your Honor. The prosecution wants to know why Raccoon City was destroyed by a thermobaric missile strike instead of a controlled quarantine. I'll tell you why. Because Pentagon officials authorized that strike not to save lives, but to cover up the government's own illicit partnership with Dr. Birkin.
That's a baseless conspiracy theory.
Is it? Then explain to this court why a United States Special Forces extraction team was sent to Dr. Birkin's laboratory on September 28th. Explain why that team was ordered to secure the G virus samples and eliminate Dr. Birkin. Explain why the official record claims it was a rescue mission when the only thing they tried to rescue was classified research.
The extraction team was attempting to prevent the outbreak.
By shooting Dr. Birkin 7 times and leaving him to mutate into a bioweapon that tore through the sewers and spread the virus into Raccoon City's water supply? That's prevention? Your Honor, the government didn't send that team to stop an outbreak. They sent it to eliminate a liability. And when that failed, they bombed the entire city to destroy the evidence.
Order. Order in this court.
Umbrella Pharmaceuticals is not the only party responsible for Raccoon City. The federal government was complicit. They funded the research. They attempted to steal it. And when their operation went sideways, they incinerated 100,000 civilians to hide their involvement.
This is outrageous.
Counselors, approach the bench. Now.
We're cutting away from the courtroom. What you just witnessed is the strategy Umbrella has been building toward for months. Mutual assured destruction. If the government prosecutes Umbrella fully, Umbrella threatens to expose federal secrets about bioweapons acquisition and the true motive behind the Raccoon City sterilization strike. The government is in an impossible position. Push too hard, and Umbrella's defense team will drag classified military programs into public testimony. Sealed documents will be unsealed. Cabinet members will be subpoenaed. The entire military-industrial complex could be exposed as complicit in illegal biological weapons development. This legal stalemate is allowing Umbrella to continue operating while the courts argue jurisdiction and liability. Intelligence sources confirm the corporation is actively relocating its most dangerous research operations offshore, facilities in the Russian Caucasus region, shell companies in South America. While lawyers fight in a federal courtroom, Umbrella is escaping. The corporation is metastasizing into something even harder to track and prosecute. The trial resumes tomorrow. We'll continue coverage as this develops. I'm Bill Carter.
Folks, the world is going crazy out there. You read the news, you know it's true. When things go to hell, you need Sinclair Solutions. We've got the tech, the tonics, and the home defense systems to keep the freaks, the looters, and the infected off your front porch. Motion sensor alarms, reinforced deadbolts, and our exclusive Splicer Stopper security package. Don't wait until the city burns. Call Sinclair Solutions today at 800-555. Defend. Ask about our 2-for-1 security camera special. Sinclair Solutions, because when society collapses, you'll be glad you prepared.
We're interrupting our coverage. The White House has requested emergency airtime from all broadcast networks. The President of the United States is about to address the nation from the Oval Office. This is, to our knowledge, the first emergency address since the Raccoon City sterilization order in October. We've received no advance copy of these remarks. We go there now.
Good evening. 3 hours ago, seismographs on every continent registered a massive detonation at the South Pole. Umbrella Pharmaceuticals issued a press statement within the hour, calling it a nuclear reactor malfunction at their Antarctic research station. I'm speaking to you tonight because that statement isn't true. Our intelligence community has confirmed, independently and through multiple channels, that the explosion was a deliberate self-destruct mechanism, a weaponized detonation triggered inside a classified Umbrella biological research facility buried 6 levels deep beneath Antarctic ice. This wasn't a power plant. It was a weapons laboratory that Umbrella hid from every regulatory body on Earth for nearly 30 years. There was no reactor. There was no malfunction. Umbrella destroyed their own facility to incinerate the evidence inside it. I need to address something else before I continue. The previous administration made decisions regarding Raccoon City that this government is still reckoning with. Relationships with Umbrella were protected when they should have been severed. Warnings were classified instead of acted on. And 100,000 Americans paid for that with their lives. That's a number most people can't hold in their heads. I couldn't either, until I stopped thinking about it as a number. I sat in a briefing room 2 weeks ago and read the names of the dead. Not the number, the names. It took 9 hours. That's who we failed, and the era of failing them is finished. Effective immediately, I've signed an executive order directing the full military seizure of every Umbrella facility, warehouse, laboratory, and corporate office on American soil. The Department of Defense has operational authority as of 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Their assets are now federal property. Their research materials are evidence in an active criminal investigation. Any employee of Umbrella who obstructs the seizure or attempts to destroy records will be placed under arrest and charged under the Biological Weapons Convention. And I want to speak directly to the Umbrella executives who've gone into hiding. You know who you are. Tonight, I'm publicly confirming the existence of the Anti-Umbrella Pursuit and Investigation Team operating under U.S. Strategic Command. A UPIT has one mandate: to find you. This team has been given full authority to coordinate with international law enforcement, allied intelligence services, and military assets across every theater of operation. Whether you're in a compound in the Caucasus, on a research vessel in international waters, or behind the gates of a private estate in Europe, we're coming for you. This isn't a civil lawsuit anymore. This is a national security operation, and it won't end until every person responsible for what happened in Raccoon City, on Rockfort Island, and beneath the Antarctic ice is accounted for. To the American people, I'm asking you to trust that your government has finally caught up to what you already knew. This company should have been stopped years ago. I believe in the law. I spent my career believing in the law. But the law requires that the people it governs respect the boundaries of human life. Umbrella stopped doing that a long time ago, and the men and women who ran that company made a calculation that their money and their lawyers and their hidden facilities put them beyond the reach of any government on Earth. Tonight, this government stops asking and starts answering. Good night and God bless America.
The President of the United States, speaking from the Oval Office. To recap, the administration has formally rejected Umbrella's claim of a reactor failure at the South Pole, confirming the explosion was a deliberate self-destruct of a biological weapons facility. An executive order has been signed authorizing military seizure of all Umbrella property on American soil, effective tonight. And the President confirmed the existence of AUPIT, a military task force under strategic command with international authority to pursue Umbrella's senior leadership. I've covered Washington for a long time. What the President just described, for all practical purposes, is a declaration of war against a pharmaceutical corporation. I don't know what the legal framework for that looks like. I don't think anyone sitting in this building tonight does either. Stay with us for continued coverage of the apparent fall of the Umbrella Corporation. Good evening. I'm Bill Carter. 5 years after the Raccoon City disaster, 5 years after the Antarctic crisis, the legal saga has finally concluded. Today, the Umbrella Corporation was officially declared bankrupt by international courts. This follows two separate war crimes tribunals. The first tribunal in 2001 convicted 17 Umbrella executives of crimes against humanity. The second tribunal last year brought charges against surviving board members for the Rockfort Island and Antarctic incidents specifically. The accumulated legal judgments have exceeded $80 billion. Joining me tonight are three experts who've been with us since the beginning of this crisis: David Sterling, Marcus Thorne, and Dr. Elena Rostova. David, the bankruptcy announcement came from a Swiss court this morning. What does this mean legally?
Every remaining umbrella asset has been liquidated. Pharmaceutical patents sold off. Laboratory facilities dismantled. Corporate records seized by international authorities. The umbrella trademark itself has been legally dissolved. No one can operate under that name ever again.
The second tribunal specifically addressed the Ashford family's crimes. What came out of that?
The British government posthumously revoked all Ashford aristocratic titles. 7 generations of peerage erased from official records. Their estates were seized. University buildings bearing the Ashford name were renamed. The family's been systematically removed from the historical record.
Marcus, we confirmed years ago that Chris and Claire Redfield survived the Antarctic facility. Where are they now?
Both testified at the tribunals. Chris joined a private anti-bioterrorism organization. Claire joined a human rights organization called TerraSave that provides humanitarian relief in outbreak zones. They've spent the last several years working to prevent another Raccoon City. Their testimony was crucial in securing convictions.
Dr. Rostova, we've had 4 years to analyze what was recovered from the Antarctic facility before it was destroyed. What do we know about the T. Veronica virus now?
The CDC has been tracking Veronica derivative strains appearing in black market bioweapon sales. The research data stolen from Rockfort Island has been sold to at least 3 confirmed buyers. We've seen modified versions emerge. One strain removed the 15-year incubation requirement entirely.
So Umbrella's gone, but their science survived?
Bioterrorism didn't end with Umbrella's bankruptcy. It decentralized, went underground. We're fighting dozens of smaller threats now instead of one massive corporation. In some ways, that's harder to contain.
Marcus, do we know who attacked Rockfort Island? The paramilitary organization that stole the research data in the first place?
Tribunal testimony identified the organization as HCF, Hive/Host Capture Force, a rival bioweapons developer funded by unknown parties. They vanished after the Rockfort heist. No confirmed sightings, no recovered personnel. They got what they wanted and disappeared.
Before we close tonight, I want to remember the 2 people who made this coverage possible. Vance, who infiltrated Rockfort Island and transmitted the coordinates that led investigators to the Antarctic facility. Mac, who broadcast from the security room until the final detonation. Their testimony, delivered through their recordings, was entered as evidence in both tribunals. They didn't live to see justice served, but their documentation made that justice possible. I'm Bill Carter. The Umbrella Corporation is gone. The Ashford Dynasty is erased, but the fight against bioterrorism continues. Good night.
Good evening once more, or perhaps I should say good morning, given how long you've been listening. We have reached the end of our tale. The Ashford family is no more. Their Antarctic stronghold lies in radioactive ruin beneath the ice. Their virus, however, has found new owners. Such is the nature of science. It tends to outlive its creators. I confess I found Alexia Ashford rather fascinating. A child prodigy who engineered herself into a goddess. There's something almost admirable about the ambition, if one can overlook the patricide, the human experimentation, and the plan to enslave humanity as worker drones. Difficult obstacles to overlook, I admit. Poor Alfred, the lesser twin, the failed experiment. He spent 15 years guarding his sister's frozen tomb, gradually losing his mind to loneliness, dressing in her clothes, speaking in her voice. One almost pities him. Almost. And what of our heroes? The Redfield siblings have vanished into obscurity, presumably to continue their crusade against bioterrorism. One suspects we have not heard the last of them. People who steal military aircraft and infiltrate secret Antarctic bases rarely retire quietly. Let us spare a moment for those who did not survive. Vance, the journalist who documented his own death in Alfred's palace. Mac, the working man who broadcast until the countdown reached 0. Steve Burnside, the boy who became a monster and chose love in his final breath. Their stories deserve better endings. But then, most stories do. The Umbrella Corporation has been dissolved. Its executives face war crimes tribunals. Its facilities stand empty and quarantined. One chapter closes, but as our experts so grimly observed, the virus has escaped into the world. New chapters will follow. I do hope you've enjoyed our little broadcast. It has been, as they say, a pleasure having you. Sleep well tonight, and do check under the bed before you turn out the lights. One never knows what might be incubating in the darkness. Good night. Join us next time as we witness the next chapter in our species' fight for survival. The end times are far from over. Until then, here is a preview of our next broadcast.
Welcome back to Deep Dive. I'm Carl Denham. And if you haven't been following the news out of the coastal region over the last 24 hours, you might want to sit down for this one. We're talking about the Crescent Beach incident, the mass beaching of unidentified organisms, and what the mainstream coverage isn't telling you. My guest today is Steve Martin, investigative journalist, former bureau chief for the Associated Press, and someone who's been digging into the Meridian Deep story for months before any of this happened. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Carl. I wish it was under better circumstances.
So let's start with the basics. You've been looking into Meridian Energy's deep-sea drilling operations since before they even broke ground out there. What drew your attention?
The permits. Always follow the paperwork, Carl. Meridian filed for exploratory drilling rights about 18 months ago, and the environmental impact assessment was, I don't know how to put this diplomatically, it was thin, suspiciously thin for a formation they were describing as previously uncharted. The depth they were targeting, 3,000 feet below the seafloor? That's not unusual for offshore extraction. But the geological surveys attached to their filing were, let's say, incomplete. Large sections were redacted, and when I filed Freedom of Information requests to see the full reports, I got stonewalled for 6 months.
Okay, but companies redact proprietary information all the time, right? Competitive advantage and all that.
Sure, but the redactions weren't protecting business secrets. They were hiding anomalous readings. I got a copy of the original survey from a contact inside the contractor who did the initial sonar mapping. The formation Meridian was drilling into wasn't just uncharted. It was sealed.
Sealed? What does that mean exactly?
The sonar showed a cavity about 400 feet across, surrounded by a layer of sediment that hadn't been disturbed in, according to the dating in the report, millions of years, and the interior readings were strange. The acoustic return pattern suggested the cavity wasn't empty. It was warm, warmer than the surrounding rock by almost 40 degrees.
And Meridian drilled into it anyway.
They did. The official position is that they were tapping a geothermal pocket, potential energy reserve, but I've talked to geologists who looked at those readings, and they said no natural thermal vent produces that kind of localized heat signature. It was too regular, too contained.
So what are you saying? That Meridian knew something was down there?
I'm saying they didn't ask the right questions. Or maybe they did ask, and they didn't like the answers, so they went ahead anyway. Either way, when they punched through that sediment layer 2 weeks ago, they cracked open something that had been closed for a very long time.
All right, let's talk about what came out. These creatures at Crescent Beach, you've seen the footage like everyone else. What's your read?
I've been making calls all morning, Carl. Marine biologists, paleontologists, people who study deep-sea ecosystems. Nobody can identify these things. The closest comparison anyone's given me is prehistoric arthropods, species that went extinct 300 million years ago. But that's not the troubling part.
Okay, I'll bite. What's the troubling part?
I talked to a source this morning, someone connected to the initial response team. They examined 3 of the creatures before the military cordoned off the area. And what they found was, look, I need to be careful how I phrase this.
Take your time.
These creatures have specialized mouth parts, not for feeding on fish or kelp or anything you'd expect from marine life. The structure is more like something designed to attach and burrow. Parasitic morphology, my source called it.
Parasitic? As in, they feed off a host?
That's exactly what I'm saying. These things aren't independent organisms. They're hitchhikers, scaled-up parasites designed to live on something else. Something much, much larger.
Wait, hold on. You're suggesting these dog-sized creatures are, what? Like ticks? Fleas? Off of something bigger?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you what a qualified biologist told me after examining them firsthand. The anatomy doesn't make sense for a free-living organism. The way they're built, the clamped structures on their legs, the hook-like mandibles, they evolved to cling to something, to feed off something. And Carl, think about the scale here.
I'm thinking about it. I don't like where it's going.
A normal tick is, what, a few millimeters, and it lives on mammals that weigh 50, 100 pounds. These creatures are the size of dogs. If the ratio holds, if the biology follows any kind of logical scaling, then the host organism would have to be, I don't know, hundreds of feet long, maybe more.
Steve, that's insane. You're talking about something the size of a building, living underground, under the ocean floor?
I'm talking about what the evidence suggests. That cavity Meridian drilled into, 400 feet across, warm, sealed for millions of years, and now thousands of parasites have surfaced 12 miles from the drilling site. You tell me what else fits.
Is there any indication that whatever this host might be, that it's still down there?
I don't know. Nobody knows. But I'll tell you this. The seismic readings haven't stopped since Meridian broke through. They've been getting stronger, and the epicenter has been moving, slowly, but definitely moving, toward the coastline.
Steve, where does this leave us? What should people be doing right now?
Paying attention, not trusting the official story. When a company with that much money involved says there's nothing to worry about, that's exactly when you should start worrying. I've been doing this a long time, Carl, and the feeling I've got right now, this is the tip of something, and we haven't seen what's underneath.
Steve Martin, investigative journalist. Thank you for coming on. Folks, we're going to keep following this story. If you've got information, if you work for Meridian, if you were on that beach, reach out. The tip line is in the show notes. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your head down. I'm Carl Denham. This has been Deep Dive.